Genocidal Zionist scumbag Bezalel Smotrich openly brags about how Israel had the best healthcare in the world, which is 100% subsidized by the American taxpayer.
The state of Israel has the best public healthcare system in the world. This is a fact in all parameters.
This is just another reason why Zionism is inherently a treasonous ideology, as Americans suffer from record high medical bankruptcies and often forego medical procedures because of the cost. We are providing and subsidizing healthcare for the genocidal settlers in Israel. Notice how these treasonous Republican scumbags, those like Lindsey Graham, Donald Trump, for example, would smear ordinary Americans as extreme communists because we advocate for free healthcare for Americans. Meanwhile, they have no problem with Israel having free healthcare. These Epstein ruling class scumbags even have the nerve to smear their own people, smear Americans as anti-Semitic because we advocate for our taxpayer money to be spent at home instead of a genocidal apartheid state.
I just like the sound of it.
What's poppin'? We're back. What's poppin'? My friends, my family. We're back once again. We have a lot to cover today. I'm gonna dive right into it because I've been having a fun time following the UK election. I've been covering the fascism in the UK. That's a story we're gonna get to here very soon because Keir Starmer and the Labour Party got blown the fuck out after implementing fascism, promoting never-ending war against Russia. And just like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, Keir Starmer sacrificed his entire country to serve his entire party. Well, country too. He sacrificed his entire party, his country, all in order to serve Israel. So we will be covering that here very soon. Speaking of captured governments, you guys know why the Palestinian movement, we say globalize the intifada. And I don't take too kindly to careerist liberal Democrats who try to tone police the movement because Zoran Mamdani doesn't like globalized intifada. Bro, that shit is a banger. I was at the KC Palestine protest and we were chanting that globalized intifada because it has real legitimate meaning. Despite the fact that Zoran Mamdani tries to play dumb, he was lecturing his followers in the movement about how saying to the river, to the sea, globalize the intifada, how that's unacceptable. When we say globalize intifada, it's an acknowledgement that Zionism is an imperial structure and we are all inherently Palestinian unless Zionism is put in check. These are things that our Palestinian brothers and sisters say. They tell me this all the time. Globalized intifada means standing up against a police state that murders our brothers and sisters in the street because they train with the IDF. Globalized intifada means taking back the UK, taking back Australia because they were locking up teenage girls and senior citizens and giving them absurd sentences because they had the audacity to criticize Israel, criticize the genocide and support the Palestinian resistance. So we need to globalize the intifada for Australia because Australia is lost, bro. Like, it is dark there. Like, if you're in Australia and you have a t-shirt on supporting Palestine action, supporting the Palestinian right to armed resistance, they will lock your ass up. They don't even pretend to have free speech in Australia. I mean, that's the whole thing. As they want to fearmonger over left anti-imperialist governments and claim that they're authoritarian because they don't bow to the NATO regime. Australia is a full-blown fascist state. We cover this all the time on the channel. Our friend Caitlin Johnstone writes about it all the time. But not only has Zionism spread all the way to fucking Australia, it's spread all throughout Europe and the Japanese ruling class. You had Senai Takaichi, who's taking massive anti-war protest because I covered on the show before. that Japan is one of the most anti-Zionist countries outside of the Middle East. I think they're like number 3, Turkey number 1. I think Indonesia and Malaysia top 5 as well. But the Japanese people, they are actually against the apartheid state of Israel, but do they get any representatives that will call out the Israeli regime for pushing their allies into wars? No, they have Sane Takaichi, a diehard supporter of Donald Trump and United States imperialism. She's trying to bring back Japanese imperialism, which is why she's being rocked by anti-war protests. And what does it say about these Western-aligned proxy states? Because you have the West, you have these proxy states like Japan who are not sovereign. They got United States military bases all out the country. They had one party rule that was backed by the United States. The other party was just for show. What does it say about these Western-aligned states and their satellites that these protests don't do anything to shift the movement of the ruling class? Do you guys remember when people was going after China during COVID because the Chinese started protesting their government because they felt the Chinese government's COVID restrictions didn't match what the population was willing to go through? And then the Chinese government actually responded and they scaled back their COVID restriction harsh policies in response. And then the Western government's like, look, Xi was forced to fold to its populace. Is China going under? China forced to concede to the mob. And we're like, this is how democracy is supposed to work. But you guys see how in the West, it doesn't matter how much you protest. That's why people like Hassan Piker and people who advocate for reforming the Democratic Party, they are complete and utter dipshits. Because under the Democratic Party, not only was the Democratic Party unmoved by all the protests in opposition to, genocide, that genocide thing, if anything should turn you against a party, it will be genocide. So many Democrats, many young liberals, they hit the streets, joined by leftists and anti-imperialists because they wanted to hold the party responsible. How did the Democratic Party respond to them? They responded to them with escalating the police state and implementing fascism, siding with ICE in order to help deport pro-Palestinian protesters and students. And then you got, dipshits like Hassan Piker, who would then say, well, our best mechanism is trying to go within the Democratic Party and push them to the left. You guys have been so successful with that over the years, haven't you? This is a point that Marxists have to make all the time. That when they say that we're not a real democracy, Xi Jinping and his government put out like, bro, there's a lot of different forms of democracy. They put out a statement formally where they said, we rejected nonsense that the DPRK is not a democracy. How can the West say any other country is not a democracy when you can predict who wins an election at around a 98-99% clip based on who raised the most money, aka the most preferred capitalist candidate? We have incumbents that die in office, like Dianne Feinstein. Mitch McConnell, he is literally brain dead. Mitch McConnell is a potato. Look, what's the state? Kentucky? I forgot if it was Kentucky or Tennessee. I really did forget. But their state is governed by a fucking potato who falls asleep after speaking for 5 seconds. And these are the people that are elevated as cream in the crop of this preferred admirable Western democracy. Decolonize your minds, my friends. Now let's get into the main story. That was more of the introduction, but let's get into the main story. I'm working on a hotspot on this as well. Honduras Gate, the alleged U.S. and Israeli interference plot to destabilize Mexico and other progressive governments. So this is like an ongoing update of the Isaac Accords. This is just one operation within the overall Isaac Accord plan, the Zionist takeover of Latin America. people don't realize that Israel, they want more than the greater Israel project. They want it all. They want all the goyim all around the world to be subjected to Jewish supremacist dominance. That's to answer your question. I see that came in. Why the fuck does Israel care? Bro, we're dealing with psychotic cultists. The likes humanity haven't seen in centuries, probably. This is a cult that believes that they are owned it all. Can you imagine if they were Viltrumites? They're essentially Viltrumites without the power. They want to enslave the entirety of humanity. World domination. We know that the United States and Israel is mostly one cohesive settler colonial project of the Anglo-Saxons and the people in the West. So this is not like new. They wanted to dominate the Middle East. They wanted to dominate Europe, and they have successfully dominated Europe. UK is completely lost. They gave Keir Starmer the same order they gave Kamala Harris. We don't give a fuck if you lose this election. You better not turn on our agenda of shutting down any speech critical of Israel, of arming the genocidal state known as Israel. Now they have South America that they're heavily focused on. We covered how like Uganda is captured. My friend David Hudayan, our hotspot brother, amazing Pan-African geopolitical reporter, who I promise I will have on one day. Our time zone difference with Africa is brutal. I was very lucky to have him on a few times. I'm gonna try to get him back on. But he's explaining all the time. He's like, bro, remember when he was on our channel? He's like, you'd be surprised at how many of these people in Kenya, for example, in Nigeria, who are like diehard Christians, who are Christian Zionists. David explained how he says his father was a Christian Zionist for a very long time. So the question any rational person would ask, like you guys have been, is why would Israel even care? Oh, you sweet summer child. Sweet summer goy. Zoe is love, Zoe is life is the house. Let's go through this because I won't cover this in depth because Claudia Sheinbaum responded to this because for all the liberal Zionists out there that believe that Israel is our ally in any way, shape, or form, quick question. Why are they trying to take out left-wing progressive governments? Well, we know the real reason why. I'm going to show you guys. I mean, it shouldn't be surprised to you. Claudia Sheinbaum and Gustavo Petro has been pretty aggressive in calling out Israeli genocide. You had Gustavo Petro who called Israeli a bunch of demons. And he called Donald Trump Epstein every single time that he mentions him. He's like, yeah, the Epstein class. He's like one of the few foreign leaders with Iran that mentions the Epstein class. He says it all the time. His speeches about the United States is pretty fire. So after seeing this backlash by the populist left movements in South America, Israel was like, who do you fucking goyim think you are? Do you think that we're going to sit back and allow you to criticize God's chosen people? So they took action. And now you see why Juan Orlando Hernandez was pardoned. And this is also explained in this piece, how Benjamin Netanyahu played a gigantic part of him getting pardoned. So for all the dumb goyim in the United States, and I'm looking at the countless liberal corporate media. We know the right was falling for it. But you guys know I like to watch my enemy. I tell you guys, I don't even watch that much independent news anymore. Ever since I do this, I'm constantly watching my enemies. That's why I'm watching like people who consider themselves progressive. People who call themselves liberal on corporate media. They're like, yeah, Donald Trump makes the claim about Nicolas Maduro being a drug lord. Nicolas Maduro claims he's not. I don't know who to believe. Both of them are liars. So Maduro might be a drug lord, But I disagree with the strategy. I disagree with the strategy of you guys engaging in massive war crimes and kidnapping a president, a democratically elected president. So you guys know why they took out Maduro? I think it's pretty obvious to our audience. Nicolas Maduro openly called for Jewish Americans or the Semitic people, because he considered himself Semitic as well. He said he gave a speech. It's a fantastic speech. You guys should look it up. I might play it on the channel one day. I never played it before. He explained how he has Semitic heritage, and he wants the Semitic people, meaning Jews and Semitic Palestinians, to take arms against the state of Israel. He called for all Jews to take up arms against Israel. I wonder if I can find that. Damn, I probably should include that. Nicolas Maduro, Jews take up arms Israel. I covered this a while ago, but we always got new followers. Okay, look at this headline. Look at this. I didn't see this before. Look at this. I'm trying to find what I'm referencing here, but look at this. Venezuelan Jewish diaspora jubilant over Maduro arrest. Come on, bro. Where are the synagogues that are going to condemn this war crime? These Jewish supremacists, they want it all. They want it all. What do you mean the Jewish diaspora in Venezuela was cheering Maduro being kidnapped? It's because he called for Jewish people around the world to take up arms against the genocidal state of Israel, which is the least they can do. Like, even if you oppose the Netanyahu government, you had thousands and thousands of Muslims who took up arms against the United States funded and the United States armed Al-Qaeda and ISIS militias. We know that ISIS is tied with the Mossad. Why do you guys think ISIS never attacks Israel, despite the fact that they attack mosques? You would think that ISIS' first target would be Israel, but isn't it interesting how they never attack Israel? So you know what Muslims did? Muslims took up arms against other Muslims who bastardized the name of the religion, who bastardized the words of the Prophet Muhammad. Meanwhile, you have Israel that's like, yeah, we are committing genocide in the name of the Talmud. We're gonna repeat the story of Amalek. And they're consistently saying that in order to be supportive of the Jewish people, you have to be supportive of the state of Israel. Meanwhile, you have the Jewish diaspora and synagogues. They're just dead ass silent. They're just dead ass silent as this state is committing massive atrocities. I'm not talking about our anti-Zionist Jewish brothers and sisters, especially like those like Jill Stein, Max Blumenthal, Aaron Mate, Katie Halper, just to name a few. I know I follow a ton of them. But my problem is the institutions. The Jewish institutions are diehard in support of the state of Israel, and the anti-Zionist Jews that exist in the West, they're harassed and victimized by the genocidal Jewish majority. So I hope it's clear, and that's the reason why a lot of anti-Zionist Jews like Aaron Mate, Max Blumenthal, they still follow me because they understand. All my anti-Zionist Jew brothers and sisters, they understand. I'm not talking about them. I'm standing up for them. They explain all the time how they are victims of harassment, financial retaliation, and disbandment by their genocidal Jewish community. So when I criticize Jewish institutions and synagogues, you guys realize I'm standing up for anti-Zionist Jews, right? But these Jews, nah, bro. I pass on them. Look, and if you were to say that these Jewish Venezuelans have dual loyalty to the state of Israel because they hate Maduro, because Maduro has been calling out the genocide in Gaza, they will say, "Oh, well, you're committing an anti-Semitic trope. You're an anti. Well, you're saying the Jews only care about Israel." Like Ben Shapiro is very open about the fact that the reason why he lives in America, because what he does by spreading Zionist propaganda in America is more helpful to the state of Israel than anything he can do in Israel. That's a quote he said years ago. It's something that lives rent-free in my mind. And that's how a lot of these Jewish supremacists operate. They're like, bro, y'all, we love to travel the world, exploit the goyim, and support Israel from the outside. It's not anti-Semitic to bring up this fact, especially when there are these Venezuelan Jews who supported United States imperialism and Donald Trump executing hundreds of Venezuelans, well, around 100 Venezuelans in order to kidnap the president of their country. It is treason of the highest order. So you got to notice how Nicolas Maduro, he was first. So what I'm going to cover, what they call Honduras Gate, is just another chapter of this very important geopolitical story that's going to shape this region for a very long time. Honduras Gate, the alleged U.S. and Israeli interference plot to destabilize Mexico and other progressive governments. So we saw the Maduro plot was successful. Now they're moving on to Claudia Sheinbaum and Gustavo Petro. I don't think I finished my thought I was making earlier, because I was making the point about how liberals repeated a lie about how Maduro is a drug lord. I didn't finish my thought on that, so I'm going to go back to that. Meanwhile, Donald Trump pardons Juan Orlando Hernandez. You know why? Well, I'm sure you guys are picking up on the theme here. Because he's a Jewish supremacist who sold out his people to the state of Israel. You can say, nigga, what do you mean he's a Jewish supremacist? I don't think he's a Jew. I don't know if he's a Jew. But it's the same concept with white supremacy. It's wild that people understand that concept. The idea that you don't have to be white to serve the agenda of white supremacy. Oh yeah, I think I heard this before. I didn't fix it. I got a new computer. Yeah, man, my cam is fucking up, huh? Well, I hope you guys enjoying listening to me in the lab cooking. I need to fix that. I might bring my webcam back. Yeah, I saw it before on the replay. Yeah. But anyway, everyone acknowledged, and even black liberals will say, hey, man, you don't have to be white to uphold white supremacy. Look at all the sellout Cubans. Look at all the sellout Hispanic people who support far-right capitalist policies. A larger Latino support Republic. Like, you don't have to. So the same thing goes with Jewish supremacy. That's why Joe Biden is a Jewish supremacist. He's a Catholic, but he's a Jewish supremacist who believes that we should serve our Jewish masters. The idea that the Jewish people have the right, the same with Lindsey Graham, who's a self-professed Christian. If you agree with the idea that Jews have a right to a chosen land in the Middle East, even if it means them committing genocide, you're a Jewish supremacist. Doesn't matter what your religion is. So if you're a Jewish supremacist and you're part of the ruling class, I explain all the time, you're above the law. Do people understand the level of feudalism that we are at now due to Zionism? I showed you guys the graph. I can pull it up again if you guys need to see it, of all the white-collar crime Jewish supremacists. Actually, not even white-collar crime. There's fucking rapists who are fleeing to Israel. But they all get pardons by not only Donald Trump, but even Democratic presidents. They use, like, the people they be pardoning for white collar crime. Their name always end with like Stein, bomb or some shit. I'm just saying, it'd be like this Jewish supremacist Rosenberg guy was pardoned for engaging in mortgage fraud. There was a story how the FBI caught a gigantic insider trading operation. And then they released the names of like the 30 people who was caught in the FBI sting and investigation. Guess the names of the people there. These are the Jewish supremacists that believe they're above the law. And I know, like, bro, I already know I'm on hot water here. But it's not anti-Semitic to mention this. I'm not saying every Jew is like that. I'm not saying that, for example, anti-Zionist Jews or working class Jews. They call them working Jews, by the way. It's these ruling class Jewish supremacists. The Epstein class. Why do you think Epstein did what he did? Why is everyone on the why there's so many, like 80% of the Epstein list are Jewish people? These are scientific observations that we should be able to make, but Jewish supremacy rotted the minds of many people in the West where you're not even allowed to make factual statements. A factual statement is the majority of the people on the Epstein files are Jewish. That's a fucking fact. It's a fact that the latest FBI state, I can show you when I just saw it. Let's see if I can find it so I'm talking about it. They're like, bro, look at the names. Fuck man, I need to find it. It's gonna be hard though. Let's see. Either way, the point I'm making is that if you serve the Zionist agenda, you're above the law, and that should send chills down your spine. Do I know I fucking saved it somewhere? I know I fucking retweeted this. I thought I did. I kind of want to show you guys because it's funny. Let's see if this is. I'm gonna see if I can find. Oh, here it is. I remember Glenn Greenwald was talking about it. I don't hate anyone for their religion. That's why I don't feel guilty about that. I already know I don't despise people for the religion. I will talk about some shit I noticed though. So here's the story. Like, these are the list of the names. Let me go in order. Look, breaking an FBI Boston investigation has resulted in charges against 30 individuals for their role in a global insider trading scheme that netted tens of millions in illicit profits. Massive. You already see what everyone's talking about. The entire list is made up of Zionist Jews. Spoiler alert. This man's name, if you look at number 8, this man's name is God Israeloff of Israel. Bro, what? That can't be a real name. You see number 8? How is number 8 real? God Israeloff? Who's that? Chuck Schumer's child? Who fucking... Bro, imagine how fucking deep into Talmud Jewish supremacy you have to be to name your child God Israeloff. Yachel Salzberg, Gabriel Silverstein. Once again, I'm just saying this is a legitimate news story. You two, don't get mad. This is something that just broke, and we're just going over the victims. Like there's someone from Russia here. Like I mentioned, look, there's one Russian here, Ilya Gavrilov. There is a sizable Jewish population in Russia. I see a lot of New Jerseys, a lot of Hollywood. Brian Fenderschwab. What a ghetto ass name. They must say we got ghetto names, bro. You guys see this shit? Robert Yadav. I thought this was a joke, man. I had to see it for myself. Let's see what Glenn Greenwald. This is a fantastic point. So I think this is a good slam dunk point by Glenn Greenwald. When Somali Americans were accused of fraud in Minnesota, there was endless discourse about what is supposedly revealed about Somali and Muslim culture. Will those who led that discussion do the same for this massive fraud ring and monolithic group that the FBI just arrested? And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Glenn Greenwald a Jew too? So Glenn Greenwald is an anti-Zionist Jew, isn't he? And even he called him, he's like, bro, are we going to mention the fact that there's all these fucking scammers who are part of the Zionist Jewish community? Man, this stream is doomed. This stream is doomed, my friends. Like Glenn Greenwald is reporting on it. This is legitimate. Bro, we had the President of the United States In a live press conference aired to millions of people all around the world, he was like, Somali culture is garbage. Why? Because some bullshit Fed-funded video by Nick Shirley where it was 100% completely and utterly debunked about the healthcare fraud. I covered this with Nico House. Like, no child daycare is going to let some fucking weirdo in and investigate them. He made a lot of false claims about corruption in the Somali community. And you had the president of the United States, and you have these white boys all over social media. I've seen it. And they were like, man, look at these Somali scum. And the same people who was saying Somali this, Somali that, they're the first ones who will say that you're a Jewish supremacist, anti-Semite, if you ever mention any crimes that is coordinated by a group of Jewish supremacists like this. And how Jewish supremacists are working to create a society of lawlessness among the ruling class. Because, like I said, a worker Jew would get in trouble. This is the anti-communism, capitalist, true authoritarian that we're talking about. A lawless society for the ruling class, especially the chosen ruling class. They try and create a caste system, a protected class, and people are just letting it happen. And it's already a thing in the UK. Like, Jews are protected class to the point where you can get stabbed with two other Jewish people. You can have a mass shooting where 50 motherfuckers die, but if 2 Jews died, they're gonna say there was an anti-Semitic attack. They claimed the lives of our 2 precious Jews, British Jews. So how much can they tell you that they view Jewish people above you and you're a second-class citizen compared to them? All right, let's continue the story, man. This is a Friday stream. We're all over the place, huh? I got a lot to say, though. It's time to start another streak. I got a Saturday show planned, too. Tomorrow, that's going to be a banger. Me and Jamal Thomas, we're going to start our weekend series here soon. I think it'll start next weekend, I believe. I'm in the lab cooking, bro. I got so much shit planned for you guys over the summer. I got a lot of stuff planned this summer. So the channel, I mean, it's only up from here. Make sure you like and subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Let's get to the second part of this segment where I actually read the story. Let's quickly cover the story. Claudia Sheinbaum, I want to see if I can find Sheinbaum's response. I put it in my hotspot video where Sheinbaum, she responded to the coordinated effort by Juan Orlando Hernandez and Benjamin Netanyahu. They also teamed with Javier Milei, Bukele as well, of El Salvador. Bro, can you guys imagine how cooked South America would be? I know Lula have done some fuck shit recently. Lula, like, we're not championing Lula, but do you guys understand what kind of fuck shit we would be in if Bolsonaro was president of the largest economy in South America right now with what they're cooking up? Lula has a lot of flaws, bro, but you guys have to understand Brazil dodged a gigantic bullet. Because imagine if the Zionists also had a foothold within. I think like Brazil has like half the. You guys have to understand just like the geopolitical powerhouse Brazil is. They have like 1/2 of the population of South America. Actually, let me fact check myself. Percentage. I remember reading that before. Yeah. Well, it has it's 48% in landmass, and Brazil has 49% of the population in South America. Can you imagine? So Lula is like Nico. You got my bro Nico. He's in Brazil. My hotspot brother. He got a mild list of complaints, and they legitimate, bro. But Brazil dodged a bullet not having this fucking wall toucher. Leave Brazil, especially in this moment, bro. Brazil, you better not fuck up because they got Bolsonaro's son running against Lula. Lula, just pass the torch, bro. We need a new generation of anti-Zionist leftists, bro. You're cooked because according to polls, they're like neck and neck. I need to bring Nico House on back on so we can talk about it. I talk to Nico all the time. Hotspot brother. He was telling me about that. Like, bro, they are neck and neck in the polls. Holy fuck, bro. We are screwed. Oh, man. Because you guys know, I feel for our South American brothers and sisters, our Palestinian brothers and sisters, our Iranian brothers and sisters. That's solidarity. So this is the Isaac Accords in a nutshell. Yeah, see, this is Bolsonaro engaging in his humiliation ritual. That's I forgot his first name, Bukalele of El Salvador. I don't really practice his name that often. Is it Nayib Bukalele? I always butcher his name every time I say it. But he's the far right guy who implemented a police state, a straight up fascist state, and he's loyal to the state of Israel. You guys see what they all got in common? There's Bolsonaro. Here's the president of El Salvador. Here's our drug lord, Juan Orlando Hernandez. Man, you guys realize that Juan Orlando Hernandez trafficked 400 tons. Let me get the right amount. 400 tons of cocaine to the United States. And Donald Trump, the thought I'll keep trying to finish, but I never finished my thought. The point I was making, like, bro, Donald Trump accused Nicolas Maduro of being a drug lord running a mafia state. And dipshit liberals actually believed him in the Democratic Party corporate media. Trust me, I watched them. Meanwhile, they pardoned a guy who was responsible for sending 400 tons. Let me put up the article. I'm still getting used to this new computer. Let's go. Juan Orlando Hernandez. I'm still getting used to the computer, but I like it. Thank God for credit. I'm in debt. That's also because of the Patreon increase. I appreciate everyone supporting my channel. We still only around a half year old, just over a half a year old. So the support I got on Patreon, I tell you guys, that's go towards my work. So I'm able to it helps my editing. I got a few clips I got to edit. So I appreciate everyone who support my. We got even more equipment we got to get. I need to get a better mic. The other mic I got was fucking fried. And if we ever step up, if we ever get on like a savvy level, then I might be able to get a studio. But hey, that's a long way to go. Juan Orlando Hernandez, former president of Honduras, sentenced to 45 years in prison for conspiring to distribute more than 400 tons of cocaine. He took bribes from the cartels, opened routes for them. I read this in detail. And they was like, oh, you stupid, delusional goyim. You really think that someone who served the Zionist agenda, you're a Jewish supremacist? That he actually going to be held accountable to the law? Nah. Benjamin Netanyahu literally made the call to get him pardoned. And now, according to the story, which I already kind of summed up in the most part, Juan Orlando Hernandez was caught on videotape. I showed the tape on my hotspot video where he openly said, like, where they were planning how to destroy left-wing movements. I think, look, you have Melee's financial support. Actually, let's skim the article. I'm going a little bit long, but hey, I want to make sure I cover this properly. Here's the intro. I could at least read the intro. The United States and Israel, with the help of Honduras, are allegedly positioning themselves on the geopolitical chessboard to control spheres of influence in Latin America. U.S. and Israel get into Latin America. This is who broke it, and this is where you find the tapes. Dario read in America Latina and the website Honduras Gate. That's the name of the website. I thought they called the scandal Honduras Gate. That's actually the name of the website. That's crazy. They revealed in an investigation based on leaked audio recordings the interventionist intentions of leaders of the global right. One piece of evidence released at the end of April claims that former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez, pardoned by Donald Trump from his 45-year-old sentence for drug trafficking with the support of the Republican president himself, his Argentine counterpart Javier Milei and the current Honduran administration are conspiring to create a channel for disseminating fake news with the intention of spreading misinformation and destabilizing the governments of Brazil, Colombia, and Mexico. So for all the liberal Zionists out there, for the Bernie Sanders out there, for the Matt Duss out there who just believe that Netanyahu is the problem, why is Israel and why is the direction of the greater global Israel project to implement far-right fascist regimes? Because that's what they did with Javier Milei, who stripped them of their workers' rights, implemented anti-Semitism laws where you get 8 to 10 years in prison for supporting the Palestinian resistance and quote-unquote anti-Semitism. We did a deep dive into Javier Milei a few shows ago. I think it was like last week or so. Make sure you got to check it out. The capitalist dictatorship he implemented, the labor rights he scrolled back, and the economy that he destroyed despite many bailouts from his capitalist friends and capitalist governments. So why would anyone left of center, not a socialist, left of center, even if you're a liberal, why would you be supportive of a movement that is trying to install far-right fascist governments into power? It's almost like they are here to enable that. It's almost like they're a moderate wing of fascism or something. So this is who they're trying to take down. Claudia Sheinbaum, who's also not perfect. I'm not trying to tell you guys any of these people are perfect, but what did I tell you guys before? You will never catch me glaze a leader who is not beloved by their people. Claudia Sheinbaum has around an 80% approval rating in Mexico, one of the most popular leaders in the world, not one of the most popular left-wing leaders in the world, one of the most popular leaders in the world, period. The same with Russia, Putin, and Xi Jinping. Same with Kim Jong-un. You guys would never see me undercut a population with me acknowledging that these people are not perfect. But she has the massive support of the Mexican people because she has implemented legitimate, real working class changes by forming her own party, Hassan Piker, Ryan Grimm, and all you dipshits who are completely ahistorical and have no idea what is going on in the world at all. They created their own party and dismantled the neoliberal class because they was united in the agenda of putting in the work of showing the Mexican working class they will be with them. And you've seen poverty greatly decreased in Mexico because of this. Crime has drastically fallen. And here's my friend Samuel. I love his account. He retweet a lot of information about Sheinbaum. Make sure you check Samuel out here. Sheinbaum, more debts canceled. Yes, she's been on a mass campaign of canceling the debt of the Mexican working class. How can you not applaud that? Once again, with all the criticisms, legitimately, like her weakness on Cuba is legitimate criticism. But how can you not applaud what she has accomplished for her and her party and her supporters, and not just her? Mass cancellation of debts. She implemented jobs programs and putting the Mexican people to work. Because despite the lazy straw man that capitalists said, oh, well, you're a socialist, you just want to leech out people to work. No, we want to put people to work. We want to rebuild our industrial base. We want to guarantee a job to every single American. And Claudia Sheinbaum, like, yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do. Let's build our infrastructure. Let's put the Mexican people to work. You guys see how socialist we are, the people who honor, uplift, and promote labor? The idea that we're the leeches is lazy. lazy and easily debunked talking points. Another reason why anti-communist brain rot havers like Dave Smith, they would never debate me because these are the kind of things he would say. Are you just a lazy John? No, bro, we're the ones who want to go to work. You guys are the ones who want to leech on people's labor value and have an underclass of spoiled, dipshit, rich brats who never work a day in their life. And have a society where a bunch of Jewish supremacists and other capitalists are gaming the system, making a ton of money off of a stock market manipulation, corporate bailouts. That's your garbage system. That's your garbage system. And I need our brothers and sisters to not even hide and shy about making these arguments. The capitalists, they don't have shit on us. You guys understand that? That's why they don't invite me on. That's why they're scared to have these conversations. Because anyone who have any real conversation with a diehard communist who don't hide about the fact that we want to seize the means of production and liberate the working class, you will quickly realize that they don't have shit. That's why all the big mouths, they refuse to debate me or Haas. I'm one of the biggest shit talkers on X. You think these people don't see me? A lot of these anti-communist accounts, they like follow me, oddly enough. I told you guys, like the Hedge twins. There's like oddly a MAGA accounts who follow me because I shit on liberals. You guys see me talking shit about capitalism, pull up. I've been begging people to pull up. Because we are the ones who want to put Americans to work. You guys want a leeching Epstein class that's above the law, who hire servants. Fuck you. I'm getting fired up. We almost an hour in, but you guys, I'm always in the lab. Even if I'm not live, I'm always in the lab because I got a lot on my mind. I'm going to be live tomorrow too. We're doing a Saturday stream, so whatever I don't get to today, we gonna yeah, pull up. I've been telling everyone on Twitter, pull up. I'm like, Dave Smith, nigga, pull up. Nick Fuentes, pull up. They don't want. Oh, you just want to come. Hey, Hassan Piker, pull up, motherfucker, pull up, Hassan. Oh man, we can't give Nick any clout, man. We can't defend our ideas. I don't think people are obligated to debate. You know what? But if you are someone a professional political commentator, someone who gets paid for this, and you're not willing to defend your ideas, you're mad pussy. And that should be shady. I have never declined. I never declined. Actually, I did decline one debate because I didn't want to debate some IDF motherfucker. There was this IDF soldier who wanted to debate me. I didn't want to platform him because he's like a child murderer. It would have been great for clout though. I didn't want to debate an IDF guy. I like, hell no. We don't debate IDF motherfuckers. We put you in bags. We want you motherfuckers like that. I literally don't believe in debating IDF. That's the one thing I'll draw the line. Fuck, I'm gonna debate. What are we gonna debate? The fight, the right you can murder children. The fuck, there's no debate here. I'm not even gonna. I will never disrespect our Palestinian brothers and sisters to do that. You know what I mean? Oh, wait, sorry. Let me read this, man. I'm just talking shit today. After canceling the housing debt, so this is the government that Jewish supremacists around the world want to take down. Claudia Sheinbaum, more debts canceled. After canceling the housing debts of more than 5 million families, the Mexican president has instructed the Institute for Returning to the People What Was Stolen to wipe out farmers' debt. So as Donald Trump is bankrupting farmers again, just like he did in his first administration. Remember that bailout they had to give farmers because he bankrupted them when he tried to start his first trade war with China? He did it again. Now you have international markets. You have giant markets like China buying soybeans from Brazil now. And that devastated United States farmers. So as United States farmers are suffering from their Jew tariff war, you have Claudia Sheinbaum forgiving the debts of their farmers. More than 60,000 will benefit, most with full cancellation, the rest with discount and restructuring at non-udrous interest rates. I'll see if I can find this other story. Here's a few more here. Because I'm impressed with what the Marina Party has been able to accomplish, and it's a model. Not saying that Sheinbaum is perfect, but it's a fantastic model for the left to follow, to destroy the liberal class and bring the capitalist class to heel, not negotiate with them, and not to hire them, not to allow them to strip us of our power by organizing with them and conceding to their demands. That is a historical method for change, but that's the mainstream position of the United States left. And guys, that literally leaves me in a deep depression. If I'm going to get real with you, I am depressed with the state of the U.S. left. That's why I do the Hassan Piker diss tracks. That's mostly me coping. Like, bro, what are we doing? Hassan Piker giving speeches like, man, we're going to vote for good Democrats. I don't trust Joe Stein. I don't trust the ACP. Anyone who's not a Democrat, I don't trust. I support John Fetterman. If you don't like Graham Plattner, go fuck yourself. Something that he actually said, by the way. But this is the true way to achieve victory for the working class. Look, Mexican president moving to eliminate predatory mortgage debts for 5 million Mexican families. This is real material changes for the Mexican people. This is why, if you read What Is to Be Done by Lenin, he outlines how we don't rely on spontaneous revolution. We create a vanguard party and we bring the capitalist class to heel. That is what Lenin said, Hassan. Once again, I only go after him because he's the biggest name. He's the biggest guy advocating for this. That's why I go after him. Same with Crystal Ball, Ryan Grimm. It's a horde. They're like cockroaches. They won't go away. They won't ever change. And I'm seeing them sheepdog people right back into the Democratic Party and into supporting NATO, progressive victory. What the fuck? So you have 5 million Mexican families who got their predatory mortgage debts eliminated. Insane accomplishment for Sheinbaum. Massive Sheinbaum W. Here's another article of what we just covered. Like, Sheinbaum introduces plan to relieve debt for nearly 60,000 small agricultural producers. Once again, 80% of the Mexican people support her. What your Yankee ass gonna say? Of course, she's not a fucking messiah. No one's saying she's a messiah, but she is pretty damn base though. Let me show you guys this, because the true low IQ anti-Semites, they're the people who pretend like Sheinbaum is not to be trusted because she's Jewish, even though she's been calling out the genocide in Gaza. Look here it is. Mexico Jewish president calls on Israel to end genocide in Gaza. There's a legitimate criticism, because I remember when she, like a decade ago, this is something that is a legitimate criticism of Sheinbaum, where she was cracking down on some Palestinian protests because they was getting too close to synagogues, some shit. Like, she was doing like the Mamdani, but that was like years and years ago. And I think that's something you can still bring up. It's a fair criticism to have. But outside of that, she called what Israel did a genocide. She's not making deals to sell out the Mexican working class to the state of Israel, and that's why they want to get rid of her. They're planning to wage massive disinformation campaigns, and I'm sure they arming the fucking Mexican cartels to destabilize her state. But despite the fact that they 100% doing that and doing everything they can to destabilize Mexico, you guys understand the victory that she accomplished for her people? Mexico's daily murder rate fall 40% under Sheinbaum. Do you guys see what could be possible if the United States left gets their goddamn shit together and start forming parties and figure out a way to actually mobilize the 88 million Americans who don't vote into a vanguard movement so we can actually show people how we can accomplish change and make our neighborhoods safe by providing for our people and eliminating the need to commit crime, which is the proven method. So what does it say about Bukelele, who has to create a fascist prison state? Look at the comparison. The wall toucher, the wall humper, Bukelele, whatever his fucking name is, he creates a fascist state where they kidnap people on the street, and you guys know they do like these fast non-jury trials, where people who are completely innocent are often prosecuted because they do these mass raids in community, and they just accuse everyone of being gang members. Sometimes they are right, but many times they are wrong. And once you're sent through this judicial system in El Salvador under Bukelele, the chances of you getting out scot-free despite you having nothing to do with a gang is almost non-existent. I saw this short documentary where his family was explaining how their son was kidnapped because he was a young teenager with tattoos. So he was part of this mass sweep. And this is an example of what the fascism he implemented. He this teenager, and many of them was part of these sweeps where they raid these neighborhoods, grab people on the streets, and they would do mass trials, mass speedy trials, where you're not even looked at as an individual, you're being judged as a group. Look into it. It's truly insane. Meanwhile, despite this insane fascism that he spread in his country, there are liberals who in the Democratic Party who praise him. They're like, man, we gotta give it to him. He really did a good job cracking down on crime by implementing fucking fascism. Mexico's daily murder rate falls, not by implementing fascism, but by canceling debt. You know what keeps people on the street? Providing them a job that actually pays not just a living wage, but a thriving wage so they can raise families. They engage in hobbies. They don't have to be weighed down by debt, so they can't actually do anything. This is how you create a society that decreases crime. This is the process that we talked about when me and Zoya founded 10 Demands. People need to reject neoliberalism, a failed attempt to improve feudalism, but we need to remove this neoliberal ideology that fascism and authoritarian police states are ways to decrease crime. Because despite the fact that we have record high police spending, you still have a ton of white people that like in surveys they say, oh, I feel unsafe. I'm a white New Yorker. I gotta explain. I feel unsafe. Hey, Sarah, Karen, you realize they spend $10 billion on the NYPD and you still don't feel safe? How many billions? That's the question I ask these people. How many more billions do the NYPD have to spend for you to feel safe? For you guys to realize this is a failed system, and we need to reorient we need to restructure our society in a way that drops crime down naturally, like we see in Mexico and Sheinbaum, who I'm sure still has a lot of work to do. I think we can end there. Thank you, Nick. We're so fuck here in Australia. Zoya, you want to tag in? I see you there. Zoya, are you available? I think since we're an hour in, I think that was a powerful hour to start with, right, Zoya? Let's take a quick break as I get my next segment ready. Zoya's life. How you doing, my friend?
Excellent as always. Surviving the collapse of capitalism.
We trying to at least.
Yeah, the chat is having fun with Nick's pronunciation with Bukelele.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to practice it. Like he's a name I only read. I'm sure you guys can relate. Like sometimes I do a lot of reading, and I know only read it now. I never really practiced saying it, which I should have. Zoya, how you say it?
Bukele.
I said
so you're
Bukelele.
just adding ukulele at the end, like ukulele.
So say it again, Bukele.
Bukele.
Okay. No one gives a fuck about his name. Fuck his name. So let's put this down. I'm gonna take a quick break. Get my next. Take over Zoe for a second.
Perfect. Let's get into our chats. How's everyone doing? How are you guys surviving late stage capitalism? Grocery prices, gas prices crushing us right now. Hopefully, you guys are all doing okay. Gene Zyback, imperialism, capitalism, thumbs down. Mustafa, thank you, Nick. We are so fucked here in Australia. Under N6low, they should realize that the US military will not come to their rescue. Yeah, but if you don't allow US military to build bases on your territory, they'll bomb you. Jay Cloyd, Hassan Trotsky. Oh man, that Hassan is such an infuriating example of controlled opposition. Mic check, coupled with the surveillance state and AI wars. Yep, surveillance is increasing every day. Our kids will literally just never know what it was like to live without surveillance, without cameras, without phones. Metal Nick, it's absurd how successful they have been. Who's opposing them? Wix, free Maduro. Absolutely. Kill your egos. Free Cuba of American death sanctions. Yeah, what the US is doing to Cuba is pure terrorism. Under N6low, they bombed a synagogue in Iran like it wasn't nothing. Yeah, a historical synagogue. And Iran has so much of human history, and so did Iraq, and they bomb all of these historical locations that really belong to all of humanity. I hate shit libs. Trump was a billionaire. Maduro was a bus driver. Enough said. Always class war. This one kind of pulled on my heartstrings. It's so sad. RKM, Maduro is being held in a 3 meters long by 2 meters wide with a metal bed, a toilet, a sink, and a narrow window that barely lets in any natural light, a head of state in an isolation cell. America's a terrorist state. This is unbelievable, to kidnap the leader of a sovereign nation and then torture him. How do you describe this as anything except torture? Voss Adams, that clown Jiang said that Maduro is a CIA agent. That fake professor is such a psyop confusing the masses. Definitely. I'm glad at least some people are catching on and noticing that the things he says.
Hey, I just want to know that. Remember how me and Zoya called that shit out from day one? I just want to mention that we snuffed him out immediately. We immediately snuffed this man out as a clown, and more people are catching on now. I know our audience know.
For sure, yeah. I'm glad to see people are catching on. Marvin Vargas, Peter Thiel had investment on AI project Prospera on island off Honduras, AI city. Yeah, I read about that. Very creepy and disturbing. They also are trying to build AI cities in Greenland. Wix, leader of Proud Boys is brown. Yeah, that's why identity politics ain't it. M Sparks, thank you for the $5. Salute to you as well.
I tell you guys, I'm an unapologetic class reductionist. Before.
Kylie Jones, Nick got more viewers than Anderson Cooper.
Yeah. Let me show you guys that. That shit's fucking hilarious. I saw this last night. This was like 20 minutes in, but I'm sure he didn't get any more than this. I checked later and it wasn't any more than this. I listened to like 2 minutes out of morbid curiosity, and it was the most boring doomer shit I ever heard in my fucking life. She like, Anderson Cooper, we discussing the harsh realities of grief and love. Like, bro, who fucking will watch this shit? Despite being propped up by a massive network promoted by the algorithm, millions of subscribers, they get less views than we do. That's what this person mentioning here.
And this is CNN. We have more live viewers right now than they do. Legacy media is dying. That's why so many of them are turning to podcasts like Joanne Reed. You know, they pretend to be like, no, that's it. I'm leaving. I'm going to be anti-establishment, and then do the same propaganda on a podcast. Pro Mark, get a desk like a TV show. Yeah, Nick's streaming from his kitchen counter. I already had this talk with him. He has no space to like create a studio.
Bro, we're gonna level up eventually. We are a working class channel though. Hope you guys like to sit back and enjoy listening to me because I know it don't look amazing, but we're just trying to educate the masses the best we can. As we grow, I trust me. I have that on the agenda. I got this new computer. I put myself in debt to get this, but I viewed it as an investment. Plus, I got my Patreon was growing, so I feel like I invest a little bit into my work. So I appreciate you guys doing that. And as we continue to grow, you will see the channel grow in the same way. But let me give me just like another 2-3 minutes. Almost ready, so I'm gonna get the segment ready, and then we can move on after. Just give me another minute.
No worries, for sure. Jason Dick, my workstation is also my kitchen table. See, the working class knows. Adam Zieli, Mexican farmer debt getting wiped out after housing debt wiped out. Wow, cool. Yeah, almost like it's possible to do that, even in a country that's far less wealthy than America. RKM, US has ground troops in Mexico right now. Oh, yeah, I mean, they launched a whole operation under Obama. Let us not forget. Bug manability, a full employment economy creates a powerful labor class. Well, we wouldn't want that.
All right, I think I'm ready. Thank you, Zoya. I will pull you in. I have one quick statement I want to do. I want to do a propaganda report. I had this saved for a while, so I want to cover this real quick. So, Zoya, I'll bring you back in here soon. Thank you for taking over for a bit. Let's do a propaganda report because this segment here to me is hilarious. And this segment by Free Zakaria, who is easily one of my favorite propagandists to break down, because he's from the Atlantic Council. He's the media arm of the Atlantic Council that is really well coached on how to repeat American propaganda. There are people that they were given strict instruction to. The dumbasses. They didn't allow like Joanne Reed to talk about foreign policy. You know what I mean? There are people that they know is above their pay grade to talk about foreign policy, and it's cool. Like the I'm sorry to sound problematic, but the female newscasters, those propagandists who are only hired because of the way they look, the Fox News anchors. There are a few of them on MSNBC. They try to get these young presentators, but you can tell that they're there because they're good at reading the teleprompter. They're sexy for the camera. They like the Megyn Kellys, like, but you can tell like they are not allowed to get deep into foreign policy. Free Zakaria is not that. Like, he's extremely nefarious, but he's definitely extremely well read and well trained on propaganda. That's why they trust him probably more than anyone else to deliver these breakdowns on U.S. imperialism. So how relevant he actually is, I don't think he's relevant in terms of a lot of Americans listen to him. But you know who listens to him? Every single member of the ruling class does. He have all these Pentagon people on. He always get these big name state security people. I've been paying attention because his rants are deranged. Remember the last time we did a propaganda report on him, he was having a meltdown because India was choosing to lean more towards China, and Donald Trump is ruining United States plans to expand in Asia. So he's a Indian American chauvinist. He's extremely interesting propagandist to me. Like, he's this Indian dude who loves America more than fucking anybody, bro. He's like that coon who loves slavery more than the master. Bro, no one loves U.S. imperialism more than Free Zakaria. I be listening to him like, bro, this man is deranged. Like, he's like well presented. He's well dressed up. And many people will point to like, I don't know, a Laura Ingraham, a Sean Hannity as being worse than this guy, Jesse Waters. And yeah, Jesse Waters and them, they were more crude than this dude, but trust me, Fareed Zakaria is as deranged as it gets. His neoliberal ideology of American exceptionalism, he believes that he's one of the people that he decries, like Russia and Iran evading U.S. sanctions. He believes that U.S. sanctions are like international law. He's a Western imperialist, and he's deeply trusted to repeat state narratives. In this segment, he's upset because he views Donald Trump as essentially destroying U.S. imperialism. Let's dive right into it.
It's a beautiful thing, Donald Trump said recently, musing about a joint venture with Iran to act as the gatekeepers of the Strait of Hormuz. The same day he posted on Truth Social, big money will be made dealing with the traffic buildup there. These are revealing remarks, not because they are outrageous. Trump has said many outrageous things, but because they distill a worldview. They suggest a shift in how the United States might see its role, not as the guarantor of a system, but as the participant in a deal.
You guys see how he accepts the premise that the world is better off as America being this guarantor of markets and being the global policeman. He's decrying the shift in that, but let's continue.
For most of its history, the U.S. has taken a different view. Freedom of navigation has been treated not as a privilege to be sold, but as a right to be defended.
Come on, bro. So this man is about to make the argument that the United States empire has been respectful of trade routes and global markets. Sir, the United States sanctions 1/3 of the world's population, and they engage in seizures of oil tankers, and not just Trump, but Biden did that as well. But listen to him pretend that under the neoliberal world order, the United States was this amazing shepherd of the global economy. It's deranged propaganda.
Taken a different view. Freedom of navigation has been treated not as a privilege to be sold, but as a right to be defended. The young republic's first military intervention, the quasi-war with France, was fought in part over interference with American shipping. Soon after, the U.S. confronted the Barbary pirates, refusing to pay tribute for safe passage and instead using force to establish the principle that commerce should move freely across the seas. That commitment deepened over time. In the modern era, the United States has patrolled the world's oceans, ensuring that critical choke points from the Strait of Hormuz to the Strait of Malacca remain open. It has done so at great expense, not to extract tolls, but to sustain a global commons.
The United States have implemented a sanctions regime that has killed an estimated 38 million people since the 1970s. But you guys see how liberals present the United States as this amazing shepherd of the global order? Complete goy slop.
Open seas would underpin open trade, which in turn would foster growth, stability, and ultimately peace. That is not how Donald Trump thinks. In his view, the Strait of Hormuz is not a global artery, but an asset, something to be monetized. Why provide security as a public good when it can be turned into a business venture? Why?
Once again, there's a healthy amount of Trump derangement that you can have in today's age, but this is the purest definition of what Trump derangement syndrome actually is. The idea that Donald Trump is the first if everything was going off all well into Donald Trump. I'm not saying Donald Trump is not worthy of criticism. He's definitely a deranged motherfucker. But Trump derangement syndrome is the belief that he's somehow a unique president. Joe Biden was a straight up pirate. Let me show. I posted the receipt earlier. I'm gonna show you this. This is something that people always kind of forget, how Joe Biden and Kamala was escalating tensions. Here it is. You guys see how this is before October 7th. So they will tell you a bunch of bullshit about how October 7th is Iran's fault, and that was an example of them acting in a way where they must be checked by the United States. No, you guys see how this is before October 7th? How they were consistently fucking with Iran? U.S. seizes under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris while the Democrats was in charge. And no, it's not a single squad member. Not a single progressive Democrat had any criticism of Joe Biden doing this. They didn't give a fuck. They still voted for him. Zoran voted for this. Zoran voted for a fucking pirate. So not just Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a piece of shit. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. But you guys see how believing that Donald Trump is some sort of unique evil, that is what Trump derangement syndrome is. It's not acknowledging that Trump is your enemy and being harshly critical of him. I am now, extremely now he's in charge of government. It's the idea that your entire analysis, especially when another person is in charge like Joe Biden and the entire empire revolve around Donald Trump. No, Donald Trump is just doing his part and continuing the same strategy that doesn't change between presidents and executive administrations. But it's not going to be too long of a segment, but let's get back to Fareed. He almost done, but this is him pretending that it's Trump that ruined this principle of us maintaining global. No, that's not it's been fucked up, Fareed.
It's not how Donald Trump thinks. In his view, the Strait of Hormuz is not a global artery, but an asset, something to be monetized. Why provide security as a public good when it can be turned into a business venture? Why underwrite a system when you can charge admission? This instinct runs deeper than a few words. It reflects his broader worldview that sees international relations less as the management of a shared order and of values, and more as a series of transactions. In that world, every commitment is negotiable, every alliance conditional, every public good a potential profit center. After World War II, the US emerged not just as the most powerful nation on earth, but as the architect of an international system built on rules, openness, and cooperation. Washington promoted free trade, supported multilateral institutions, and maintained a security umbrella that extended far beyond its shores. It didn't do so out of altruism, but because it understood that such a system would serve its interests. And they did. A world of open markets and secure sea lanes allowed global commerce to flourish. With the United States at its center, American companies thrived. The dollar became the dominant currency, keeping interest rates low for Americans as the country has borrowed more and more from foreigners. US influence extended across continents, not through coercion, but through attraction and interdependence. And
complete and utter bullshit. How many governments has the United States overthrown who was like, for example, Gaddafi, who wanted to completely lead the IMF and have a united Africa? They killed him for that. They despise they will overthrow your government. They will install Zionists. We just covered the Isaac Accords, what they're doing in South America. That didn't start under Donald Trump. I explained earlier how they want it all. And if you have any resistance towards them, you'll be part of that 1/3 of the world population who they sanction. But you guys see how he's paying this as it was the neoliberal world order was so amazing, despite the tens of millions of bodies that we packed up along the way. For example, the millions of Koreans we killed because they didn't accept our influence into their country. Us forcing them to support free market capitalism and turn their people to slaves of neoliberalism. Because they didn't want to become slaves of neoliberalism, they murdered millions of Koreans, millions of Vietnamese people. The amount of death and destruction the United States has been complicit with under the era of Henry Kissinger, John Bolton, under Dick Cheney, just name them. Like under the neoliberal regime of the last few decades is responsible for countless death and destruction. But this is the word order that Free Zakaria missed. You guys see why, in a nerdy way, this is why I view him as deranged as Jesse Waters, as deranged as a Sean Hannity. This is a deranged fascist neoliberal ideology that he's promoting. But let's continue.
When Washington did coerce, its power often shrank rather than grew. All this required a certain mentality. It meant looking beyond immediate gains to long-term advantages. It meant accepting that...
You mean getting rid of our industrial base via ridiculous trade deals like the Clinton did in the 90s, hollowing out the working class and shipping jobs overseas? Is that the long-term thinking that you're praising right now?
Some investments in security and institutions and alliances would not yield quick returns, but would pay dividends over decades.
So this motherfucker pretending that the United States implement 5-year plans like China does. So you realize that China is the country that he's talking about, right? China is a country that have 5-year plans. You had Mao that explained that Mao was like, bro, we need 15 5-year plans in order for China to catch up. We need it to start and restart and replan and upgrade 15 different times our economy. And they were like on number like 14. So tick, 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 tick. Tick, 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 tick. It's only a matter of time. So the country that he's actually talking about is China. But we need to wrap this segment. I'll play one more clip and we move on.
It meant understanding that legitimacy and trust are strategic assets. Trump's approach flips that logic. It prioritizes the immediate over the enduring.
Come on.
The tangible over the intangible. If allies can be bullied into paying more, that's a win. If trade partners can be squeezed for concessions, that's success. If strategic commitments can be turned into revenue streams, so much the better. The costs in diminished credibility, frayed alliances, lost trust, and a weakened overall system are diffuse and deferred. The gains are immediate and visible. The scholar Stephen Walt has called this behavior that of a predatory hegemon. The truth is, most hegemons were predatory. Great powers have taxed trade routes, extracted tribute, and leveraged dominance for direct gain. Rome did it, the Habsburgs did it, Napoleon's France and Imperial Germany did it. Even Britain, often seen as liberal, ruled its empire in ways that enriched the metropole. What made the United States different was not that it lacked self-interest, but that it pursued it in a broader way. It built a system others could join because it offered wide benefits. It restrained its power even as it exercised it. It chose, in other words, to be an enlightened hegemon.
This man just said the United States regime that is responsible for destabilizing countless governments, killing millions of people with sanctions, starving children, committing genocides. It's an enlightened hegemon. Yeah, Jesus fucking Christ, bro. Tell me this man is not the most deranged person on cable news. You want to tell me that Jesse Waters is quite deranged. Don't get me wrong. But to me, Fareed Zakaria is easily on his level. Listen to that again.
Ruled its empire in ways that enriched the metropole. What made the United States different was not that it lacked self-interest, but that it pursued it in a broader way. It built a system others could join because it offered wide benefits. It restrained its power even as it exercised it. It chose, in other words, to be an enlightened hegemon, one that understood that the surest way to sustain dominance was to make it acceptable.
The United States, an enlightened hegemon. Holy shit. Well, he's almost done. This segment was literally almost over. I'll let it play to the end, but holy shit, bro. Now you guys see why I say the United States is the most propagandized country in the world. And this motherfucker loves him some America. This man loves America more than any white boy I ever seen. Like, bro, these white boys care more about Israel than the United States. Like all these white boys on Fox News, I'll be seeing Pete Hex, if you don't give a fuck about America. Bro, this Indian motherfucker who works for the Atlantic Council, he loves America more than he probably loves his children. This is why he is allowed on CNN. This is why any black, brown, Indian, Muslim, any motherfucker you see on corporate media that is allowed to have this platform, it are going to be the most deranged people in our society. And just listening to their ideology is peak comedy to me. He sings "God Bless the USA" in the shower. Zoya. Bro, you know he like born in the USA. Bro, he be blasting that movie. Born in America. Bro, you know he be banging those, bro. There's no one loves the United States more than this guy. That's why, I don't know, maybe I'm a nerd. I am a fucking nerd. Let's be real. But to me, listening to these people is peak comedy, and it shows how deranged they are. And their ideology, I think that's a great transition. This will be the last segment we cover. 3-segment show. You guys know how we do. We're not doing less than 2 hours out here. And then I got to wake up in the morning and do a show on Saturday too. So we got a lot of content coming up. So the ideology of Free Zakaria, I'm not like picking on him just to have I am having a laugh, but it's the dominant ideology in the United States. You guys see how comfortable they are having him? And he has a show every weekend, and he's the guy who's allowed to do these deep dives into foreign policy, talking about United States history, because he's here to brainwash the neoliberal wine mom and to believe into United States exceptionalism and U.S. imperialism. Now do you guys see why Democrats are imperialists and why they will never change? This is why they genocided the fuck out of Gaza. Finally, Nick is accepting we do 2-hour streams. Yeah, I'm in the lab cooking, Zoya. We're gonna start another streak. Yeah, this is a social stream. Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged, my friend. Last segment of the day. Let's get to Keir Starmer in UK. You guys know I loved every single goddamn second of this. Because I recently covered Keir Starmer, who's a complete clown. And just like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, he sacrificed his party in an historic wipeout of the Labor Party because he rather increased energy costs for his own people because he was obsessed with waging war against Putin. They will never tell you there are a lot of right-wingers here that made the water. Well, there are a lot of right-wingers upset with him over immigration, but polls have shown the number one thing that the people in the UK was upset about was cost of living. What was a big part of the cost of living increase? The fact that the UK cut themselves off from Russian gas. The fact that they decided to buy expensive United States liquefied natural gas. And the fact that they was cutting social programs in order to hit the 5% NATO military agreement. This is the analysis you would never hear. I've been listening to the BBC talk about this. It's pure brain rot. They just bring up culture war issues. I'm not making this shit up. Look at damn polls. Everyone in the UK said they are voting for cost of living and because they was opposing Israeli genocide. So he sold out the entirety of the working class in order to serve Israel. He wouldn't properly stand up against his ally, the United States, waging war against Iran and bombing school children. So now the cost of living is even higher. Keir Starmer is probably one of the most unpopular leaders in the world. Do you guys see the difference between the Western Nazi class, the Epstein class, who I go after and I bash, compared to the person who I just did a segment on earlier, Claudia Sheinbaum, who is beloved by her people? Claudia Sheinbaum is beloved by her people. Vladimir Putin beloved by his people. Xi Jinping beloved by his people. So people are like, Nick, why you support those people? Because they're working for their people, even if it's a different agenda than what you support. But no one can make the argument that Keir Starmer, the UK, Emmanuel Macron, and the governments in the West are anything else other than capitalist dictatorships. I just covered how the United States Congress has a 10% approval rating. There is no legitimate mechanism to get rid of these potatoes like Mitch McConnell, who's barely fucking alive. There's almost no mechanism to get rid of a Chuck Schumer. No mechanism to get rid of a Dianne Feinstein who dies in the office. Nancy Pelosi about to be 97. 115 years old. However old she is. But you gotta see, we gotta wait till she retire because under this capitalist system, it's designed to install their power. It's a failed. You can't even call it a democracy. Everything that they claim about their enemies, when they claim that China is not a democracy, Russia is not a democracy, the DPRK is not a democracy, it's all projection. The United States and the West have the worst form of democracy, where the will and interest of the people will never be represented by the ruling class and by people who win elections. And this is just a fact. That's why the ruling class in the West are deeply unpopular, like Keir Starmer and the prime ministers before him. I mean, Liz Truss. Every single one deeply unpopular. Emmanuel Macron deeply unpopular. Friedrich Merz is breaking records for unpopularity in Germany, the BlackRock prime minister. These people are hated by their people. And then they have the nerve to say that Iran doesn't represent their people, that Nicolas Maduro is a tyrant. And this is the Western liberal democracy that social democrats want to work in because they truly believe in it. That's why Zoran Mamdani condemns Maduro and he condemns Cuba, but he doesn't condemn Keir Starmer and the Labour Party. Where's Zoran Mamdani and the NATO left talking about the UK arresting doctors and the fascism that they implemented in their government? No, the only people they have heat with is China. They were talking about how China's evil. They were talking about how Putin's authoritarian, how Cuba is oppressive. And people wonder why I don't fuck with them. I don't support the devil's bargain. I'm not supporting imperialist talking points and imperialist narratives for some fucking crumbs that you guys are not even getting. And social programs. I'm going to call out the imperialist Epstein class in the West, like Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer, who blames everything on Iran because he's a fucking Israeli puppet. Like, stuff like this is why Keir Starmer got blown out in historic fashion, lost more seats than any party in history. I was reading up on it.
We're clear that these actions will have consequences if that proves to be the case. Our message to Iran or to any other country that might seek to foment violence, hatred, or division in society is that it will not be tolerated. That is why.
So the UK, a country that has stabbings like a national pastime, like every one thing, like the people, a lot of right wingers, but man, there's so many stabbings. So now he's blaming his crime problem that he is unable to solve. Claudia Sheinbaum, she has a plan. You guys know crime is non-existent in the DPRK. Where's the violent crime in North Korea? It's non-existent. Violent crime in China is almost non-existent. Meanwhile, the UK and all these capitalist governments in the West, they're littered with crime problems. And they have all these crime problems, despite the fact that they have giant police states. So square that logic with me, libertarians and right-wingers. So if you don't know what Keir's talking about, so to prelude this clip a little bit more, Keir Starmer is helping Donald Trump manufacture consent for war against Iran. And he is taking advantage of mentally ill people in the UK stabbing people. And he is claiming that this is the result of Iran engaging in infiltration of his country and activating sleeper cells. That is what he's saying. You guys feel like he's saying this stuff, and the BBC would report on it as if he is speaking facts. He was like, don't you know there's Iranian sleeper cells that are being activated in the UK, and they are going on stabbing sprees. That is what he's talking about right now, guys. This is how dumb he thinks his population is. This is how Jewish supremacists like Keir Starmer, this is how they govern the Goyim.
To any other country that might seek to foment violence, hatred, or division in society is that it will not be tolerated. That is why we're fast-tracking legislation to tackle these malign threats. And we're clear-eyed about the fact that anti-Semitism does not have one source alone. Islamist, far left, far right extremism.
Imagine the fucking audacity of these Western leaders who keep smearing their own people. They keep smearing their own people as anti-Semitic. They are calling their own population and smearing their character with one of the worst things you can be accused of, and that is racial bigotry. And the people in the ruling class, they just do it nonchalantly. And no one, am I the only one who offended when I see this shit? When they're like, oh, well, all the dumb working class, they're all fucking anti-Semites because they won't let us slaughter Palestinian children. How are people not offended by this garbage? This garbage that is used to implement fascism. So this is how you should view it. This is whenever they promote the anti-Semitism hoax, whenever you hear Keir Starmer, whenever you hear Zoran Mamdani smearing his own people and suggesting that they're anti-Semites, this is them engaging in class warfare and the smear job of their own population because they want to hide their crimes. And the people of the UK made them pay for it. Made them pay for this shit. So let's continue because I'm showing you guys to start this segment why Keir Starmer lost.
Anti-Semitism does not have one source alone. Islamist, far left, far right extremism all target Jewish communities. That is why this...
He sounds no different than Laura Loomer. He sounds like Nancy Mace, Ben Shapiro. Like, this is the labor leader.
This government has put in place the first coordinated national plan to strengthen cohesion and confront extremism in all of its forms. This is not about tinkering around the edges. Our plan is a complete step change in how we protect communities, moving beyond piecemeal responses to a sustained nationwide effort, one that ensures that people across the United Kingdom can live freely and without fear.
We're going to implement fascism. You're going to be safe. Who needs freedom? We're here to take care of your security. You know that whole freedom versus security argument? Forget about that. Just lay down, dumb goyim, and accept our police state and your secret Jewish police. This is the arrogance that Keir Starmer had. This is what he said. It was March. It was 2 years ago. I think this is 2023. While I looked this up. Listen to what Keir Starmer told people. This was in response of him implementing free speech crackdowns in response to pro-Palestinian protests.
If you don't like the changes that we've made, I say the door is open and you can leave.
Bruh, that's peak political malpractice. You telling your voters, hey man, if you don't like my government, there's nothing you can do to hold me accountable. You just leave. Just leave. If you don't like it, you can get out. I thought the UK is supposed to be a sophisticated culture. I told you guys, these people are backwater inbreds. People think these people are sophisticated. No, you're inbred. You sound just like Epstein MAGA Republican. If you don't like my policies, you can get out. The fuck? You wonder why you got blown out this election? This is the Labour government.
If you don't like the changes that we've made, I say the door is open and you can leave.
That's the crazy thing to say.
Door is open and you can leave.
People left all right. So he said that in March 2023, I believe. Let me see if I know I found the video. You can leave. Yeah, they said it came in February 15, 2023. So this motherfucker just got elected. He got elected. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna implement some fascism now. Knowing that election, he like, I don't have to worry about elections anytime soon. But I don't care about none of that shit. And then now this shit caught up with you, didn't it? And he once again sacrificed his entire party and was willing to lead to a rise of Nigel Farage's party in order to serve the interests of Israel. He didn't make this sacrifice making a gambit trying to increase the quality of life of the working class. This is because he was obsessed with war against Russia and Putin, and he couldn't give up that tranquilizing drug. He couldn't give up the tranquilizing drug of arresting his own protesters. Now, you have Labour, who had one of the biggest electoral losses in history. Look at this map. The speed at which Labour managed to destroy their core voter base is crazy. And the other two, like 1,500 plus councillors. This will be the single, and they're still confirming everything. It will be the single biggest loss by a party in British electoral history. The Zelensky curse strikes once again. Putin must go. Who must go? Keir Starmer must go. How many prime ministers have been fucked up ever since your guys' special military operation? How many neoliberal ruling classes are going to sacrifice elections in order to serve Israel? What did this remind you of? This is a historic defeat, right? This is just like Kamala Harris. When Kamala Harris was the first Democrat in the modern era who lost the popular vote. So since I think like Ronald Reagan. Complete and utterly washed because he sold out his people to Israel. Because he was obsessed with war and funding NATO. I know, and this is Keir Starmer. Like, you guys see how smug he was before? So the other segment was pretty infuriating. Now this is where it turns around, because now this is really satisfying. Because that smug grin was wiped off your face, wasn't it, bro? Keir Starmer facing calls for him to resign. There are MPs saying that he got like a few weeks to fix the party before they start joining resolutions to force him to resign. So here's Keir Starmer after getting completely, utterly destroyed.
The results are tough. They are very tough. And there is no sugarcoating this. We have lost brilliant Labour representatives across the country.
Bro, I would imagine how fierce you'd be if you're just an ordinary MP, you know what I mean? You try to engage in a little bit of entryism. And then your party become massively unpopular because Keir Starmer is obsessed with fighting for NATO, obsessed with waging genocide, arresting protesters, not doing anything to solve the price of the cost of living issue, doing nothing to decrease crime in this country. Which, you guys see how liberals, with their obsession with upholding empire and Zionism and suppressing the working class, you guys see how they inherently enable the far right? The same way that Barack Obama and his neoliberalism led to Donald Trump, Keir Starmer is like, Nigel Farage's party is, and he's another Zionist sellout too. He's a Zionist sellout. Keir Starmer and neoliberalism, they are here to help guide the way into a more fascist far-right party taking power. They are here to sell out the working class, and if there's any left-wing movement that will develop, they will join the fascist side in order to suppress it. This is basic theory. And you guys see how this happens over and over and over again. So let's finish. I only made 12 seconds in. Here's Keir Starmer coping over his defeat.
The results are tough. They are very tough. And there is no sugarcoating this. We have lost brilliant Labour representatives across the country. These are people who put so much into their communities, so much into our party and our movement. And that hurts. And it should hurt. And I take responsibility.
But I'm not going to resign, though. I know you guys lost your elections. Tough shit. Cool sacrifice you made for Israel, bro. I'm not stepping down, though. I take full responsibility. Bro, you're one of the most disliked people in the UK.
When voters send a message like this, we must reflect and we must respond. I think the vast majority of people do understand that we face huge challenges as a country. We've had a series of economic shocks in recent years, and there's a very difficult international situation that we face. They know that. But they still want their lives to improve. They still want to see the change that we promise.
Bro, they hate you. They have no confidence in you, bro. The idea that they still kind of with you, but they just sending you a kind message, delusional. You guys see the cope in this speech? This is a defeated man.
They know the status quo is letting them down and they're frustrated. They don't feel the change. I understand that. I get that. I was elected to deal with these challenges. We made some big calls.
Did you?
To stabilize our public finances, to invest in our public services, not to get dragged into a war in Iran. But we also made unnecessary mistakes. One of which...
Like appointing Peter Mandelson even though you knew he had Epstein ties. You guys know that was another killer for Keir Starmer, the Peter Mandelson scandal. The guy who was on Epstein's, he was a close associate to Epstein. Peter Mandelson, he was a big scandal. And Keir Starmer, he knew about it and still pointed him. He's like, yeah, we just made some bad calls, bro. No, bro, that's a massive, massive mistake.
One of which was that although we were right to level with the public about the scale and depth of the challenges we faced, we didn't do enough to convince them that things will get better, that things will improve. The hope. And that is why in coming days, I'm going to set out the steps that we will take to deliver the change that they want and that they deserve, so that every child can go as far as their talent or ability will take them, not held back by poverty, so that every community can have what it needs, a secure, safe place for everybody to live. Households and families not feeling constantly held back by a cost of living crisis. And a Britain where everybody can feel proud of the place where they live and they work. So these are tough results. But tough days like this, they don't weaken my resolve to deliver the change that I promised at the general election. They strengthen my resolve to do so. Thank you so much for listening.
Bro, you just told people that if they don't like your policies, they can leave. And now you're saying, oh, well, I'm going to strengthen my resolve. I promise I'm going to give you guys high hopes, just like people who judge. It's impressive how he can speak for so long without saying anything. Do you guys know what he said? Can anyone sum up any direction, any policy proposals, anything that he actually proposed for the working class? He rambled without actually saying anything. Imagine how brain dead you had to be to support this person. Now, this is the cycle in the UK. The rotating hero, the rotating villain, that have an unpopular party leader who does some fuck up thing, and then we can have some young up and comer in the party that calls him out. Yeah, then we can have a new leader. Then let's elect him. Let's get him in charge. Then he fucks it up. Then the other. You guys see how the UK democracy is meant to be a failure, just like the United States. So here's the Labour leader who's another Jewish supremacist scumbag. I mean, he didn't impose Keir Starmer. You didn't impose Keir Starmer's policy. You're just mad that he caused a lot of your comrades to lose their elections. So anyway, the point here is that there is a massive call of labor leaders that want Keir Starmer to resign because of his historic election defeat. These results make one thing clear. Keir Starmer has fought his last election as labor leader. We now need a timetable for an orderly transition to a new leader by the end of this year. This could not be more serious. It's about stopping Farage and entering number 10. Like, because once again, I explained how Nigel Farage, who just another Zionist neoliberal. Like, I take some heat when I say this sometimes by leftists, because people are like, yo, the AFD, I mean, in Germany, they're like, Nigel Farage, don't you know he's far right? The AFD, they're far right. Yeah, Keir Starmer's pretty far right too, man. Like, when you guys say that Nigel Farage is a far right party, I'm like, I don't know. I guess, but what do you mean by that? Because Keir Starmer government support genocide. Doesn't get much far right than that. He supported too, but they are one part of a neoliberal regime. If you was to ask a Western leftist, they will say the reason why Nigel Farage is far right is because he opposed immigration and because he opposed trans surgery for children. That's it. Like, that's the only difference between these ruling classes. You guys realize that, right? They're all far right genocidal parties. Nigel Farage is just the party that don't like trans people. They're the party who blames the problems of the working class on the immigrants. That's the only difference between these parties. Just like the United States, the UK is a functioning democracy. I mean, not functioning duopoly. I mean, a capitalist dictatorship duopoly where they shift between Labour and the far right parties, like the Tories, and Nigel Farage, he's like a Tea Party version of a Tory. It's a pathetic game, but this is the real failure of democracy. But the UK Green Party, they also made a lot of gains. But you guys see how neoliberalism is meant to enable the rise of quote unquote far right fascist parties. Even though, if I was to get in the weed, I would say both of them are. So after facing mass calls for resignation, he was like, I'm not going to walk. This is him saying essentially not going to resign.
About the pace of change, how they want their lives improved. I was elected to meet those challenges, and I'm not going to walk away from those challenges and plunge the country into chaos.
So essentially, he's not going to resign because that will plunge the country into chaos. Fam, you already did that. The UK working class is struggling to get by, and that's why they sent their party packing. And that's why you gave the working class no other choice but to look at someone like Nigel Farage. The Green Party, they working though. Here's Jeremy Corbyn. Voters have sent a message to this government. Enough is enough. So this is him talking shit. Labor could have stood up to reform. He calling out for sky-high rents. He calling them out for cost of living. And they fed up with a government that continues to arm a genocide. Good for you, Jeremy Corbyn. He calling out Keir Starmer for enabling genocide, spreading lies about our mass movement for peace. So that's him hinting towards Keir Starmer's fascism. Labor could have stood up for reform. Instead, they appeased them by scapegoating the most vulnerable. It's easier to see it this way. For their own political failures. We're in a dangerous moment. Yeah, that's true. Remember, instead of acknowledging that he's a failure, Keir Starmer is busy. He is busy calling his own people anti-Semites. He's like the far left Islamists. You're anti-Semite. You're anti-Semite. And they're like, sir, I'm starving. Can we have some industrial jobs? Can I have some liquefied natural gas that's actually cheap? Shut up, you anti-Semite. That's what we mean by scapegoating the most vulnerable for their own political failures. That's my interpretation of that. Congratulations to your party-backed independents, Green Party candidates. I need to look into this more, but I'm pretty sure Jeremy Corbyn, he has his own party, but he also helps the Greens now. He's completely done with the Labour Party. And other who have fought, this is him congratulating the Green Party. I'm going to show you guys how the Green Party actually made some gains. Because the UK is a functioning duopoly, but both sides are failing so hard that we're seeing a rise in the Green Party and other alternatives. Yeah, so he pretty much congratulates the left here. You have proven what happens when grassroots campaigns stand up for all communities, defend the humanity of Palestinians, and vow to make life affordable for all. Good for you, Jeremy Corbyn. That's a pretty good statement, I think. That's Jeremy Corbyn. That's what he said. Look, these are the delusional labor bros. Look, this is his response. That video I just showed you. This is a labor person here. He's a good man. You can tell when you hear him speak so honestly that he does care about the country. What did I tell you guys about social democrats, man? Like this is social democracy. The social democrats are standing with labor. The socialists, the eco-socialists, and the more tanky leaners, they're the ones who are caucusing with the Green parties and other independents. So you guys see these. This is the DSA of the UK. They are the ones like, oh no, we gotta go through labor. We gotta go through labor. You guys see the parallels. A social democrat. He's anti-fascist. Look, he's anti-fascist while supporting Keir Starmer, who implemented fascism in his own state to protect Israel. This is social democracy. Yeah, this is who AOC looks up to. This is the party that the progressive left allies himself with. They're the ones who said that Jeremy Corbyn is an anti-Semite. Listen to the delusion from the liberal vote, the labor voting base. He's a good man. You can tell when you hear him speak so honestly that he does care deeply about the country and all the good work that Labor Party is delivering you per the manifesto. And not just empty promises. It's change that you could feel. Bro, you just got your ass wiped. Like, this is the UK version of Harry Sisson. Just pure goy slop. Here's some more Labor cope. These are tough election results for Labor, and I'm sorry for all the colleagues who lost their seats. I'm sorry that we sacrificed you guys to serve Israel. I'm sorry we sacrificed you guys for NATO. You know how we implemented austerity in order to fund and trying to reach a NATO military goal? Remember all that military equipment and resources that we sent to the state of Israel? That cost you your seat. That is just too bad. I'm sorry. The failures of entryism. These are tough election results for Labor, and I'm sorry to all those colleagues who lost their seats. Keir Starmer won a mandate to change our country. Come on, bro. We must get on with delivering that mandate and show how politics can improve people's life. Bro, you see this ratio? Bro, almost 9,000 comments. Less than 2,000 likes. Bro, this is what you call a mega ratio. Like, Keir Starmer won a mandate. Oh my God, I can only imagine what is being said. Oh, bro, the right wing they're cooking in here. You see the right wing, they engage in their culture wars. Your evil socialist policies. Oh my God. Oh, I forgot UK Twitter is cancer. Let me get out. Abort. Abort. Bro, UK Twitter is pure cancer. I went in their comments, it's full of Nazis. It's full of Nazis like, yeah, if you didn't accept Muslims in your party, you would have fucking lost. Look, bro, Valentina Gomez, you just lost an election, by the way. She just lost another election. And look, yeah, I found the dark part of UK Twitter, bro. I didn't check the comments before. Holy shit. The comments under these are pure. UK Twitter is pure fucking garbage. The right wing, like, if you didn't break the damn Muslims, dude, that shit is dark. The reality, though, as I explained to you guys, polling shows that the number one concern for people in the UK was cost of living. And Labour, one of the reasons they lost is they had a mass exodus of people who supported them because of their fascist crackdowns against free speech, pro-Palestinian protests, and their support of genocide. So you guys see how the far right they here does this to dumb down the working class and to inject the culture war so people won't have any class analysis. So I think it was actually pretty important to show you guys that, because this is what Nick Fuentes, the Nigel Farage, this is what they are designed to do. They're here to dumb down the working class, and so there's no class analysis, so they be led down the path of fascism and confusion. So the UK is a functioning duopoly where the Tories party has been dominant like 80% of the time in government. The UK, like Keir Starmer, that's a rarity. So like as they critique other countries like China, Russia, you guys are one party state, just like Japan. Bro, the UK has been functionally governed by the Tory party by around 85% of the time. You guys realize that? Between Margaret Thatcher, all these Tory, bro, it's been de facto a one party state, and then you have Labor who will once in a while win. It's functionally I'm calling it a duopoly. That's actually me being kind of nice. I would say, yeah, Labor wins sometime, like maybe 15% of the time. It's a duopoly, but in the UK, you guys see how the only path for the working class in their country, especially with the mass rise of fascism, is for them to build a vanguard socialist party. And this is what Jeremy Corbyn is calling for. And we're seeing massive rallies for third parties in the UK because of the failure of neoliberalism. So the main headlines you're seeing in the BBC about the rise of the far right in the UK, that is true, but they also hiding the rise in the because the Green Party is rallying behind a pro-Palestinian, anti-genocide message. I disagree with some things that the UK Green Party stands for, but they're rallying against Israel. Jeremy Corbyn has their support. Once again, not really for me to judge, but they're a rising third party. And recently, because they have more anti-imperialists joining their ranks to defeat Keir Starmer, they have been scaling back their support for NATO. So one of the biggest problems I had with the UK Green Party, let me see if I can find this article. They had a referendum about whether they're going to support NATO. And I reported on this about a year ago. Look, this is what had me concerned. This is more like an update. The UK Greens seek to change NATO policy. So I saw this. I was like, bro, what are you guys talking about? And the Green Party position, I was reading up on what they were saying. They now went from calling for reforming NATO to essentially pulling out of NATO. I was like, whoa, okay, that's pretty good. But this is what I was initially alarmed by last year. So they had a debate about changing the NATO policy. Look, the Green Party of England and Wales will consider a motion at its conference in October calling for the UK to leave NATO and declare itself a non-aligned country. So that's good. It's good because I think this is the result of more anti-imperialists looking to build a third party to unseat their duopoly. So you guys see how they're even doing it in the UK? But do you know how cooked the point I'm making about this, I dove into the NATO thing spontaneously. The point I'm trying to make is, do you know how cooked the United States left is if they're doing this in the UK, but not in the United States? Look, green 18%. Bro, this is a third party that never had any motherfucking power in the UK. They'll win some seats every once in a while, but no majorities. Once again, it's been effectively a duopoly. So the anti-genocide movement in the UK is trying to build a Green Party. They still got a lot of work to do. There's still a lot of kinks they need to iron out. But you got to see how they're at least trying to build something. Compare that to the United States left. And Hassan Piker said, now is not the time. Crystal Ball told people to grow up. You know how cooked the United States left is? If we're being outworked by the UK left? Bro, what? That's how cooked the United States left is. That's the super long point I was making. Like, this was 2 months ago. Reform and Greens undermining NATO. Undermining UK. Sorry, I'm getting tired. Reform and Greens undermining UK commitment to NATO. So the establishment are seeing the Green Party shift to become more of an anti-NATO party, which is great. I didn't see that coming because I was very worried about their NATO position. Now they are calling for leaving NATO. I still think they're full of they still condemn Putin. I don't like that. Like they still full of they got some Russophobia to them. I don't like the Russophobia. I'm trying to be straight with you on my commentary here. But it's good that they're now want to leave NATO. They're trying to stop imperialism. Yeah, let me know how everything sounds. Once again, I'm gonna try to fix it over the weekend. How does everything sound and look? We're almost done. Reforming Greens undermining UK commitment to NATO. So that's good to see. And here's France. This is the leader of the left-wing party. Remember the party that Emmanuel Macron stole the election from? This is another big shift. Jean-Luc, I don't know how to say his last name, Mélenchon. I don't know how to speak French. I suck at French. If I am president, France will leave NATO. Bro, there is an interesting development going on. I've been critical of the European left for a while. I think they're finally waking up. What? Because they seeing how they're implementing austerity in order to fund these military budgets. Meanwhile, in the United States, you have Progressive Victory hosted by Hassan, the biggest streamer in the United States. You have politicians like Cory Bush, who we support, Ro Khanna, the entire mainstream progressive elected left in the United States. They are still unable to make the basic criticism of NATO that we're seeing from the Green Party in the UK and France, who once again I still have some criticism of. So listen to, I was shocked when I saw this. Here's the leader of the French Left Party. That's who I believe this is, yeah. NATO serves only one purpose, to place us under the tutelage of the United States. This is what Cory Bush wants. This is what Ro Khanna and AOC wants. They want France and the UK and the entirety of Europe to bow to NATO and United States dominance. Where is this analysis from Hassan Piker? Where is this analysis from Emma Vigeland? Emma Vigeland is okay with making alliances with Nazis in Ukraine in order to uphold the integrity of NATO. Remember the same NATO that Vaush, who was promoted by progressive left and by extension Emma Vigeland, by Hassan Piker, by all the elected politicians that are running for office. They are 100% in support of these NATO Nazis in Ukraine and unable to make this criticism of this. The same criticism that we're hearing in Europe. In fact, they refuse to endorse any politician unless that politician supports NATO. You have to support the Ukraine proxy war. I did a coverage of this. And Hassan Piker is part of their organization. We're like the only channel covering this active pro-NATO psyop in the United States that even some European left parties are now waking up from. So once again, NATO serves only one purpose, to place us under tutelage of the United States. Keeping our distance from NATO is France's historic line. We drove the American bases out of our country before Mr. Sarkozy in 2007. No one had thought of reintegrating the integrated command of NATO. We will proceed in stages. We will start by exiting the integrated command and distancing ourselves from all the shared equipment with the American army. I think this is also in response to the genocide. They lost a lot of the idea that the United States stand for international law died because of the genocide in Gaza. And Donald Trump also helped. Donald Trump really helped with his accelerants. He really helped us accelerate this shit, bro. All right, let's wrap it up there. Zoya's love, Zoya's life. What a long ass Friday stream, huh? What's poppin', my friend? Thank you guys for all watching. This is one I really need you guys to support later. I'm fucking tired. That's why I was making some mistakes. I think I was tired. It's a long night. I'm gonna let Zoya take over. I'm tired. I'll be here. Let's do a Q&A to wrap up the stream. I also got a show on Saturday, so I need to prepare for that as well. Zoya, you want to take over? I'm tired.
Yeah, I know. All right, guys, let's get into it. Michael Gong Dragon. Hey, Nick, bless you and your work. Thank you so much. Honestly, besides needing your support financially, your comments keep us going too. Gup 8175, never be deceived that the rich will allow you to vote away their wealth. Lucy Parsons. Yep, evergreen quote. Adams Yelly. Mexico reached bean sovereignty also recently. No more imports. Fuerte. Nutrition heretic. I have to practice the ukulele. I hate shit libs. Bigger the studio, bigger the bullshit. You ain't lying. You hear that, Kyle Kalinske? But Hassan also does this very like homey vibe, small, unprofessional studio too. Fook PNW. Nick should have a podium. Do you know how exhausting that would be? You guys want him to stand for 2 hours? Looks environmental. Ain't nothing wrong with being a working class channel. It's authentic. Oh, yeah. That's one thing you can count on us for no matter what is authenticity. If Nick really wanted to be a grifter or sell out, he'd be doing like pro Mamdani segments, telling
Yeah.
or he could go the other route and be like, "Oh, I'm a Trump supporter." There's so much better ways to grift than just being against all mainstream ideologies, where you're canceled into obscurity.
Those black MAGA people, they clean up, bro. They clean up.
For sure, dude.
It would be so easy too. Like, you know how easy it would be for me to reverse engineer my criticism of Democrats and then turn people to the Republican Party. I'm like, yeah, look how Joe Biden, how he treats the black community. That's the reason why we kill all our kids. They got us aborting all our kids. That's why we should be against the Democratic Party. Yeah, let's vote Trump. That shit would be so easy, bro. Like that would be.
Brother Nick, amen.
If I was a right wing grifter, I would go hard on the abortion thing. You know, like yeah, they want to kill black kids. They want to kill black babies. Bro, and I'm like, yeah, this is why we got post Democrat. I would no discussion about imperialism. No, we're not doing none of that. We're not gonna talk about Trump's Epstein ties. We're just gonna go pure culture warrior. I'll find some young gay kids on TikTok to mod. Bro, that's easy money. You know how easy that would be? I'm over here stressing making these long streams, doing a lot of research, reading all the articles. Bro, being a MAGA or a duopoly grifter, that shit would be so damn easy, bro. That'll be easy as hell.
Yeah, that's why people who accuse RBN of being grifters just pisses me off. Like this is the hardest path of grifting. The darkness. Look what being a propagandist for terrorists has done to Fareed Zakaria's face. My goodness.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough carrying around all that hatred.
Yeah, I hope you guys see why I view him as deranged. As like, name the most deranged corporate media talking head. I think he's up there. I think Jesse Waters. I think he's a good candidate. You gotta know, I don't even cover him. He's too stupid to cover, bro. There's nothing there. I can't even do a statement on shit he talk about. That's how low IQ he is. But for he's a card to me, he's the suit up propagandist, and the way he says and his ideology and his worldview is to me as deranged as Jesse Waters. Like, to me, he might as well have a Klan hood on. Like he's that was him doing an apology for United States imperialism. Like, ignore all the people we started with sanctions. He loves that shit.
Yeah, he reminds me of Obama with all of that eloquence and the way he speaks. He just makes imperialism look fancy.
Yeah, remember, he also part of the Atlantic Council as well.
Oh yeah. Wait, the comments are coming.
Yeah, all right, let's get to it. I need to shut up.
And from Ohio, Fareed advocated for apartheid in South Africa as a college student. He went to Yale and Harvard, by the way. He's been groomed by the best elitist imperialist institutions. Piano Man, interesting to see what BRICS does to India, being two-faced. India borders Russia and China. It's not that Russia and China are idiots and can't perceive, what you guys are. But it's a strategic alliance, and it's going to be based on material mutual interests, not who trusts who or who likes who. They know how India behaves. It's not a relationship built on trust. It's just mutual benefit. Looks environmental. Him and Mehdi Hassan competing for the top spot. I cannot read that handle. India is side-eyed by all BRICS. They know exactly who India is, and yet India is benefiting from this, and so is Russia and China. RKM, it's always the immigrants who are the most chauvinistic because they can get away with it. Rich immigrants or immigrants who came here with nothing and became rich. I mean, every community has a very cringe diaspora that's like, yeah, bomb my people, bomb the hell out of them for freedom. You see it with Cuba, You see it with Iran. I mean, even in the Russian diaspora, the people who came up are all like, fuck them kids. Piano Man, India, which is very pro-Zionist upper classes, should be expelled from BRICS. Again, it's a strategic alliance. It would not be beneficial for BRICS to do that. They're not building a structure based on trust. It's mutual benefit, and it's working for them. Gup, these poser MSM skins don't see the empire on the way out. M. Sparks, occupied India still fucked up. Yeah, India is an artificial entity. It's really a lot of really different communities that were forced into this colonial entity that the UK decided it should be. And India has a massive, in the millions, communist population. They even have a communist party. Lorshag, Donnie is the total average president. Absolutely. People who try to pretend Trump is like some new unique evil are just doing propaganda for the empire. Vass Adams, peace, Nick and Zoya, you're true comrades. Keep fighting the good fight. Thank you. That means a lot to us. Looks environmental. Trump is a piece of shit, but he's a piece of shit in an inbred, incestuous septic tank. Bugman Billy, shared order. What fucking planet is he from? Lorshak, show us where communism did touch you inappropriately on this doll. Sure, please, no more, Nick. Yeah, I know it's tough to watch these mainstream media characters, but we have to debunk their propaganda. Jay Cloyd, Fareed is criticizing Trump for acting like a capitalist. Who is this for? For the upper classes. Man with long last name. Meanwhile, Cuba did do stuff for other countries out of altruism, so fuck off. Yeah, Cuba's top export is doctors. Piano Man, what free market? Exactly. Lorshak, USA also helped to make disappear millions of commies in Indonesia. Yes, definitely read the Jakarta method. Gup. In 6 months, US and Israel bombed Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, Nigeria, Palestine, Qatar, Somalia, Syria, Tunisia, Venezuela, and Yemen. And that was just a Monday. US drops an average of 50 bombs per day. This empire, they're the terrorists of the world. Piano Man, bailing out the elite and large corporations and banks is socialism for the oligarchs. That's what we have, rugged individualism for the working class and socialism for the rich. Lorshak, Stalin warned 80 years ago that liberalism will turn the people into human resources. And Karl Marx, too. He said capitalism destroys its two main sources of wealth, people and nature. Hexen, America has always been doing that. Exactly. I love you guys. I love this chat because you guys know. You guys know we're not erasing the crimes of this empire. Literally every year in American history was a travesty, starting with its foundation, starting with what they did to the natives. Metal Nick, that's just the American modus operandi. You guys are based. Shala Roar. Ooh, what the fuck? Capitalists are so fucking gross and anti-humanity. Yeah. Lorshak, things for Western workers went down with the illegal dissolution of CCCP. Absolutely, as we've covered many times. USSR in the Cold War was forcing the West to give more concessions to the working class, but they don't have to do that anymore. BC Adams, thank you for the $5. Fareed has attended WE forums for the past 5 years. Hasn't attended since at least 2010. Bugman Billy.
He's like the definition of a deep state swamp monster, bro. There's a reason why he's on CNN for Atlantic Council, WEF. His ties to the deep state are deep, fam.
Fareed is a fucking alien. I don't know why we're doing alien slander.
Yeah.
They might be coming soon, guys. Let's not talk shit. Pro Mark, is he Pakistani? No, he's Indian. He's Indian, Muslim, but agnostic. He went to a Christian school in India and has himself said he's not a practicing Muslim, and married a Christian woman and raised his kids without religion. So he's very big on pointing out that he's like, I'm not one of those Muslims. GeoBot, Fareed called an entity that killed over 38 million people with economic warfare in line. Yeah, never forget the crimes of the British Empire.
Yeah, that part left me legitimately flabbergasted. Like that's an insane statement. That's about as insane as anything I heard MAGA say. Say that we are a enlightened empire. That's insanity.
Yeah, blatant supremacy. They're not even shy about it. It reminds me of that poem, White Man's Burden, by Rudyard Kipling, of all people, where he writes about how the white man has to sacrifice his sons and daughters in order to go and civilize these savages. It's crazy. Looks environmental. He kind of looks like the Green Goblin. Facts. He's like the brown Green Goblin. But I hate attacking people for their looks, honestly, because it kind of gives him a pass on all of the substantive things that we can be calling him out on. Pro Mark, enlightened hegemon is what the Roman Empire said about itself too. Laughing my ass off. Yeah, I mean, this whole Western civilization is like a reboot of the Roman Empire. And the Roman Empire overextended itself and collapsed. So let's remember that happy ending. Sal Good, millionaires love the system. Shocker.
Yeah, that segment with Free Zakaria, that essentially was a class analysis too. Because this is how they view the world, bro. Like those, you wonder why those voters vote neoliberal, why they keep voting for the incumbent. This is what the suburbanite believe. Like they're programmed by Free Zakaria. There are these opinion polls. I know they're rigged, but it's a representative of the people they're polling, the suburbanite registered voter. You guys know that their opinion of Hamas is like minus 70. Like, have you seen like the registered Democrats? So that's why it's not a representative of the American people, but it's like they poll registered voting Democrats, and they hate Russia. Like Russia's like minus 55 approval rate with registered Democrats. Iran is like minus 70. Like for real, I covered this. I made a tweet about it, and then people rightfully saying like this don't represent the American people. This is just registered voters. I'm like, yeah, that should still scare the shit out of you. These are the people who are putting the people in power. These are the people who listen to Free Zakaria, and this is their deranged ideology. So I do need to show the contrast, and I'll show these segments of people who are considered well-mannered, well-accepted among civilized society. And I'll just show you guys how barbaric they actually are. That's why I do to say I don't know how appealing they are to you guys, but I enjoy them. Go ahead.
No war but class war. It's all good. They bought workers for 70 years with the New Deal crumbs. Again, because of the Cold War, they had to, and they did it at the expense of the global South. So the prosperity Americans saw in the 50s and 60s, it was always going to be temporary, and it was by extorting the global South. Six pack for me. Thank you for the $5. The White House released its 2026 counterterrorism strategies. Check it out because you, Nick, are now officially an enemy of the state. Always has been, guys.
Biden did the same thing, by the way. Like Ken Klippenstein and a lot of these Democrat sheepdog journalists, they're now bringing up like, don't you know that Donald Trump is now putting socialists on the domestic terror list? I'm like, bro, I reported on that a few years ago. Ken Klippenstein, you're literally years behind me on this. Zoya, you remember that? I did a story about
Absolutely. Yes. We were up in arms about it.
yeah. But they didn't, they didn't cover it because that was a Democrat doing that. And now Ken Clifford's like, I got a breaking news story. This is gonna rock the consciousness of the Americans. What they realize is, don't you know that Donald Trump is monitoring socialists? I'm like, bro, do you see what Joe Biden did to the Uhuru socialist movement and Brother O'Malley? They didn't. Ken Klippenstein didn't cover the Chairman O'Malley case at all. They're Democrat sheepdog journalists. But it is wild that people don't know that too. It's wild that people literally don't know that. That's what Clint Klippenstein does.
Because they'll have a few good takes once in a while, and then people are like, "Oh, these people are on our sides." No, they're not.
It's a great strategy. It's a great strategy for real. It's hard to beat.
Absolutely, and this is why Trump being in power, even though it's all meaningless, at least the liberals start calling shit out. When the Republicans doing it, suddenly we care about the kids in cages. And once the kids are in cages under Biden, those are just camps and we're back to brunch. It's all good. The Brits are outlawing protests and speech in the name of safety. That was always the plan. Every right they take from us is supposedly in the name of safety. Spiffity keen. Western societies create sociopaths and exacerbate mental illness. Absolutely. We use 80% of the world's opioids. 80%. And we're 5% of the global population.
That's crazy.
Yeah, look up the stats on antidepressants, on everything. We are a very sick society. They're starving us and over-medicating us.
Remember that was Zoya. I know I remember you. Remember that was one of the first times I got canceled. But remember when I was like, "Yeah, yo, I think they're something up with all these damn antidepressants that we're." I don't think that's just normal. And then people like, Nick, you're being ableist. I don't know if you remember that.
I do.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. That was like one of my first cancelings. They're like, "See, this. I told you guys, Nick is an ableist. You are delegitimizing my legitimate mental illness." I'm like, bro, no, bro. What, are you saying that Americans are just more likely to have these depressions and brain chemistry malfunctions, despite the fact that we prescribe antidepressants way more than any other country by the magnitude of like 2 to 3 times more other countries? Like there's a problem with oversubscriptions, and they are making bank off of this mental health issue instead of solving the core crisis. And I said that, bro, and the meltdown from like the burn. I was like, bro, are y'all serious? It felt coordinated. I know you remember. But people like, Nick, you ableist bastard. It was crazy.
It's the same people who are NATO leftists. They love virtue signaling. They love jumping on things and just using all of these labels and everything when someone just makes an observation in good faith. Nick is actually a really nice person and he cares about everybody, which is why he does what he does. But he's an intelligent person, so he notices things. And when he makes the most gentle, mild observation, this cancel mob just tries to come after him. And it really is a disservice to us having normal discourse amongst the working class.
And I'm like, bro, you know me. Like, once I saw people react that way, I'm like, oh shit, I'm more interested in talking about it now. Because it's the same thing with anti-Semitism. When people got upset when I said I don't believe the anti-Semitism hoax is real. And then when people got mad at me for saying that, I'm like, okay, I'm about to dive into this even more. Let's do this discourse thing. I'm not like Hassan. I'm not gonna bitch and moan when people criticize my ideas. That's some bitch ass shit. I will stand on the hill alone when I think I'm right. I will face the mob and I will double down and investigate. I'm like, all right, why you guys don't want me to talk about this? You guys will provoke me even more.
Yeah, Nick's only crime is being rational.
Yeah.
Bugman Billy. Starmer covered up a lot of shit for British intelligence services as head of the Crown Prosecution Service. He received a knighthood for it. Chat coming in with the receipts. Nuku's Law. This is their natural progression after Labour's takedown of Corbyn. And Corbyn is a moderate. He's not even like, he's a Dem socialist, but that's where all of these Western governments are heading towards fascism.
Yeah, I have a soft spot for Corbyn, but he made a few tactical mistakes that's kind of annoying. Like he threw his some of his diehard far left supporter down the bus. He kind of played along with the anti-Semitism host too much that helped him get taken down. But these are just technical disagreements. You know, I think he's a good guy. Like, a lot of my disagreements with Corbyn is to be like, hey man, I think you should have did this instead of that. But I do think he means well. That's just my analysis. Because I'm like, man, you shouldn't have bought into the anti-Semitism shit. That hurt him real bad. I think he learned that lesson. But I think he's overall a good guy. That's my analysis of him.
And to be honest, a lot of liberals are nice people. Like, I mean, outside of Twitter and the whole reactionary political atmosphere there, just normal people in real life whose focus isn't politics. They could be really nice people, but then they watch all of this CNN liberal propaganda. And I literally met like a hippie up north that knew I'm from Ukraine and I'm Russia, and they're like, why is Putin bombing Ukraine? You better tell him to cut it out. like I have Putin on speed dial. But yeah, we're all brainwashed. We're in the most brainwashed country in the world, and a lot of people are doing the work to develop class consciousness. I know so many people that started out as Obama supporters and are now like, burn it down. That's what we do. That's why we're here. RKM, controlled demolition of the labor movement. Yep, across continents. Lorshak, this is what happens when you had no Stalin, Mao, and Gulag. Feed me Seymour. Who listens to this piece of shit? Boomers, upper class people, middle class people who only care about the economy and don't mind imperialism as long as it lowers their taxes.
You got to realize that there's a lot of Americans, especially suburbanites, who their biggest criticism of the Iran war is that they got paid more in gas. Fam, I said it before, I don't give a fuck about the gas prices. To me, this gas prices ain't shit compared to what Iran owes America and what I will pay for to weaken the Zionist regime. But Americans hate the Iran war because they're paying more in gas. They're not really upset that Donald Trump murdered a bunch of Iranian schoolgirls. These are the suburbanite liberals who are listening to Free Zakaria and the ruling class who share this ideology. Even if he's not listening to a lot of people, he is put there because he represents the ideology of the ruling class, of the Atlantic Council. The Atlantic Council writes foreign policy for the Democratic Party, the Republican Party. That's why to me it's important to study him. It's not about how many people listen to him, but they have influence on how Americans think more than people think they do. That's why people like you have Democrats that will say they condemn Hamas. They don't even know why. They don't know shit about Hamas, but they will say, "Oh, condemn Hamas." Why? We hear that from? They heard it from Free Zakaria. They won't acknowledge it. Like we hear Nina Turner support Nazis in Ukraine. Where do you think she heard that from? She won't acknowledge it, but she heard this shit from Rachel Maddow. This is where she get her analysis on Russia and Ukraine. So these people have more influence on the mind of the duopoly voters in the ruling class than a lot of people think they do.
Absolutely. So good. Pretending they came in to fix anything is funny. Austerity cycle. Yep, we're feeling it here too. Mic check. Kamala level word salad. Laughing my ass off. Yep. Feed me Seymour. PDFs get maybe 2 years in US. That's just for the poor PDFs. If you're a rich PDF, you're good. Bugman Billy, there is no cost of living crisis, just a continual fall in living standards for working people and rise in poverty by design. And the rich are getting richer
That's
at
a
the
good
same time.
Yeah, we had a lot of Twitch comments tonight. That's a good one.
Herd boss, king of kings. They cause every war, every crisis, every human misery that exists in the West. Absolutely. And abroad. Anthony Levinton, revolving door of different yes men. Absolutely. Shadowwalker, a rotating dictatorship with pre-approved candidates. Exactly. That's what Lenin said, that these democracies are not letting you systemically change anything. They just allow you to elect the manager that's going to enforce capitalism. It's all good. Arsonist swears to stay and fight Blaze. Yeah, it's preposterous. Mustafa, the duopoly is strong in Australia too. Of course it is. It's all Western governments. Lorshak, Corbyn and Sanders with their tails between the legs. Yeah, that's a fair criticism of Corbyn. Is he's really like a Bernie Sanders in the UK, and even when his criticisms are on point, his actions are toothless because he's not ready to tell people, that we need a revolution.
Yeah, well said, Zoe.
It's all good. So sorry you can't pay your bills. You'll be jailed if you protest us. But legit, the world we're living in now. Kurt Boss, we offered you nothing. We gave you nothing. We have nothing for you. Vote harder. Wait, is that Crystal Ball's new commercial? Mic check. Meanwhile, the U.S. left simping for Graham Plattner.
Dude, do you see that clip where someone in Hassan's audience called him out for that? And he was like, "Bro, Hassan, I can't fucking support someone who committed war crimes." And Hassan like, "No, well, whatever. Don't vote for him. Then I don't give a fuck." like somebody literally just whitewashing war criminals on the left. It's crazy.
Yeah, and he's so condescending and dismissive. Whenever you do bring up a fair criticism, he just makes you look like a reactionary, although you're just making a fair observation. It's crazy. It's crazy how dangerous Hassan is. M. Sparks, thank you for the $2. Facts, Zoya. BC Adams, thank you for the $2. Quit noticing, Nick. He's been trying. It's hard. It's hard being as smart as Nick and not to notice, That's his one flaw. Six pack for me. Thank you for the $5. American society is a car-brained hive mind driving the world down the freeway to darkness. Yep. That's why they're building their little shelters, their little safe spaces. Loser, thank you for the $100. Wow, what a generous super chat.
Well, I need that after this long day, so I appreciate it for sure. Look, this is the clip I was talking about. Since I don't have time, I already did a roast, so I'm gonna leave him alone for a while. But look, listen, this is Hassan Piker nutshell on why I have beef with him, and I despise the fact that he's the biggest voice on the left in the United States.
Yikes. People like Plattner are the people who killed 100 plus little girls in Iran. I'll never support that. Yikes. Yeah, I don't care, man. Yeah, you got it. Well, luckily you don't have to vote for him. You can vote.
You guys see how dismissive and smug and arrogant he is to his own audience? Like, bro, you're making a huge mistake supporting this guy.
Yikes. People like Plattner are the people who killed 100 plus little girls in Iran. I'll never support that. Yikes. Yeah, I don't care, man. Yeah, you got it. Well, luckily you don't have to vote for him. You can vote.
I said when I did my diss strike on this guy, but I will never understand it. Like, I guess I'm out of touch old man. I will never understand why people listen to this guy. I don't get it, man. I really don't.
Yep. I mean, Hassan is infuriating. And look at how callous and cold he is. We are not the same. We cannot identify as the same thing. That's why I'm just ditching the left label. I'm unapologetically a communist, but the most important thing to me is working class objectives and raising class consciousness.
Bro, like you guys realize how dumbfounded I am when I see people say I like that. I see it all the time on Twitter, bro. People like, yeah, I like Hassan. Yeah, your criticism of Hassan is good, but yeah, don't you know Hassan's on our side, Nick? I'll be like, bro, are you guys serious, bro? I feel like I'm getting gaslit. It's crazy, but that's why I got to at least let my community know. That's the only thing I can do.
We just have small disagreements, like we really hate children being bombed, and Hassan thinks it's no big deal. Oh, God. Marvin Vargas, thank you for the $5. Please discuss Islamist in Guantanamo Bay since September 2001. Pre-trial delays, truth not out, protect Zios. I'm having a difficult time decoding that. But yeah, Guantanamo Bay, which if people remember, throwback, Obama promised he would close it and then threw more people into Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah,
they're all the same.
Bless you for trying to decode that. I appreciate the super chat. That's my friend Marvin Vargas. I appreciate them.
Yeah, don't be shy to not use characters and just write things that makes it easier for our boomer asses to read them. That brings us to the end of our chats. Nick, do you have anything else before I close this out?
Yeah. Who's our guest we have tomorrow, Zoya?
Leif Maroof.
Yeah, he was widely requested, so I gotta get ready to prepare for that. Zoya, yeah, we gotta prepare for that tomorrow morning. So we got another show tomorrow. So we got a long ass show today, show on Saturday. Boy, we in the lab cooking. So Zoya, I'll give you last word. Send us out.
Yes, guys, please make sure to tune in tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be a really great interview. Oh, we got another super chat. Thank you, Bryce. Keep up the great work, Nick and Zoya. Thank you so much, comrade. Thank you for your support. So, guys, make sure you mark your calendar, set your alarms, because I know it. Well, we've actually been doing a lot of Saturday specials lately, and we love bringing you international voices to keep us on our toes and get different perspectives. Make sure you tune in and don't miss that one.
Yeah, I
Also,
think we'll bring Sarah on from DDG. She told me she liked doing Saturday more, so I think I might do some more Saturday shows with Sarah because Sarah's the homie. I like DDG, so I think I'm gonna do another one. So Saturday's back on the menu, boys. Saturday's back on the menu.
we might have to change our schedule a little bit, but we'll keep you
And
guys.
then we got the show on. Sorry, Zoya, but then we also got a show with Jamaro that's gonna start soon. So man, I tell you, we got a lot of content coming up this summer, Zoya. So we gotta be in a lot because we're gonna probably have a Sunday show with Jamaro, a few Saturday shows. So yeah, it's gonna get crazy.
Yeah, and Jamal's audience is not as class conscious as you guys, so I'm really looking forward to Nick spicing it up over there. As always, in the description, there's a link to our bonfire merch. 100% of the proceeds go to the designer and Gaza funds, so make sure you guys check that out. It's also great anti-imperialist stuff that you can wear, and you're not going to find at Target or Walmart. So, if you guys have the interest or the funds, everything is going to go directly to the labor and supporting people struggling in Gaza. Please make sure to subscribe across all platforms: Twitch, Kick, Telegram, X, and also subscribe to the Patreon. Anything that you guys can afford or you can subscribe for free. We appreciate all support, and that way we can keep you guys posted and you never miss a stream, because you know how YouTube does us dirty and doesn't always send notifications. Other than that, please make sure that you know that everything you do matters. The working class is rising, the contradictions are heightening, and this is exactly our time to unite workers, organize in our communities, and in the end, this is a generational journey and we will win. All power to the people, all power to the working class, always love and solidarity. See you guys tomorrow.
Zoya's love, Zoya's life. See you guys tomorrow.